let's get down to business.
Oh, come on! Really? You asshole.
What, you don't like my completely original and creative idea?
you riffed off me? You
Nah, I'm not talking about it. Like, if you didn't stifle my creativity.
Oh, ha ha.
Yeah, but alright, let's actually talk about anime. That's what we're supposed to talk about. RWBY.
Yeah, oh man, this
with RWBY.
last week's episode of RWBY was really good. Like, a couple weeks ago, like episode 3, we revealed a huge plot point about this, and now this episode was mainly just dealing with the fallout of that huge reveal. So, oh my god. Like, characters are pissed off, rightfully so, mind you, and the lead antagonist is even more pissed off that the person that she was supposed to have killed isn't.
Yeah, it's really crazy, really interesting season so far.
Mm-hmm. You said it was like, after watching this most recent episode, you said it was like your favorite season so far.
Yeah. Yeah, actually. Well,
like,
I mean,
favorite season in a while.
Yeah, because the first season's kind of hard to beat.
The first season, I don't know. For me, the first season just felt like a demo, like a test of, hey, this is our new show. It felt like more like an extended pilot.
I just liked all the action scenes.
Okay, yeah, the action scenes the action scenes were pretty good. I think my personal favorite season so far was season 3, because that's when all the bad shit started happening.
Yeah, it started getting a little more dark.
Yeah, and then 4th season I really liked because it was like, well, how do we proceed forward with that? And I thought that was really cool. But, I don't know. Like, long story short, this current season of RWBY is freaking awesome.
Yeah.
If you guys haven't been watching RWBY, then I suggest you go watch it, because it's a great show. I adore it. It's got some problems, like every show does, but it's a good show. And yes, we consider this anime.
Yeah.
Screw off.
I'm sure a lot of people do. On another note, random stuff we've been watching, or stuff we haven't been watching is Slime. Like, we kind of put it off to the side, because I don't know. Personally, the show's been getting a little bland and boring to me.
Which is weird. Like I thought the show was fine. Like, I thought it was fun. I thought it was an enjoyable, like, kind of cute little show. But But yeah, I agree. It didn't really. It had an interesting concept, but at the same time, it wasn't really. I don't think it was explored as well. It just feels like it's another guy brought to another world, and he's like an all-powerful badass now, but this time it's a slime. He's got a harem and stuff and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. Oh, we didn't do the intro! Welcome back to the Timesink Anime Podcast. I'm Rex, who can't remember the intro, and this is my co-host,
JT, who also apparently can't remember the intro. Wow, that's like 3 minutes in, and we forgot to do our intro. So
it's fine. We're just too excited about RWBY. I guess.
Yeah, too excited about RWBY and wanting to talk and not wanting to talk about slime, I guess.
Yeah. All right. Intro out of the way. Let's get into talking about the weekly shows, and we're going to kick it off with Certain Magical Index 3.
Alright, so immediately we start off with something far more interesting or at least far more easy to follow than the past 3 episodes.
I wouldn't use the word interesting, but it definitely, I was a lot more engaged. I mean, I don't know if I should use the word engaged, but invested, that's the word, yeah.
Invested and engaged, I'd say, are pretty much the same thing, but
because
anyway.
the Battle Royale arc was interesting, but there was a lot to keep track of.
Yeah, we talked about it last week, how hard it was to keep track of. After watching the episode a second time, I even had to go on the wiki and look back on a couple things and go, oh, that's what happened, which I feel like I shouldn't have to do. Yeah. But I don't know. Maybe it was just because I didn't pay too close attention to the previous 2 episodes, but still, it was a lot to keep track of, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people agree with us on that front. There was just so much. But they're basically planning a mission. It's like, oh crap, the school cafeteria is out of bread, and we have to rush to the convenience store.
Yeah, they're having like a serious
a military
meeting.
It's like a military operation that they're planning, but it's just to get food. B team's been captured. Oh crap, A team's been captured. Yeah. All that's left is you guys. Run!
Oh god, Sushi Mikado's such a dick.
I'm going on without you, kick!
Kicks him down and climbs over the fence.
Why is he here? And then of course it's like, hey, we should split up, Kamuy. And of course Saigo, their teacher, like just starts chasing after Toma, which he vocally addresses like, of course he starts coming after me.
Yeah, the old turn on his curse my rotten luck.
Yeah, pretty much. Except he didn't actually say it this time around.
Yeah.
But point being, it was through this kind of convoluted series of events that we actually get introduced to the plot of the series. Hello, Itsuwa!
Or the arc.
Yeah.
Yeah. Toma really needs to stop underestimating the amount of people that want him dead.
Yeah.
Like, he never seems to take it seriously. Like, Mitsuo is her name?
Itsuwa, yeah.
Itsuwa, yeah. She's like, by the way, the Aqua, he's like, he's gonna kill you.
Yeah, he
Toma's
wants to kill you.
That's dumb.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
Mm-hmm.
That's not like anyone's tried to do that before.
Yeah. And he says, like, you're making it sound like a bigger deal than it is. I'm just a high school kid. Like, no, man. It's like, you're a high school kid who likes to get involved in things that are usually over his head. I mean, not out of his capabilities, but are definitely over his head. But, yeah, Aqua of the Rear, this is when we start getting introduced to, like, what he's all about. And that's really cool. But not before we get a little bit more of last season's, the Amakusa are really wanting Itsuwa to go for it. I love how for one thing, it's only the guys in the Amakusa who are really pushing for it. And they're all the ones spying on her. Like, one's just like got his binoculars on, one's like looking through a fucking newspaper with a hole in it.
Yeah, like, what's up with that? Like,
and
is that its disguise?
I think so. And then one's just sitting there eating popcorn. Like, oh, I'm just enjoying the show. But, yeah, and then it's like, I don't even think she's aware of the weapons she has.
Yeah, they're great wingmen. Yeah,
they are great wingmen, but with the most convoluted plan to determine what somebody's boob size is. During the massage operation, I determined that she had a shoulder stiffness index of over 40. Which, given her clothing and everything, a shoulder stiffness index of over 37 would make no sense. Which leads me to the conclusion that bloody blah, she has big tits.
Yeah, it was a bit of an experiment that he had to perform. Although that kick was amazing. And 10 out of 10.
Yeah, and it leads into a decent segue of Mikasa just being, not Mikasa, Misaka being there, and hey, obvious tsundere.
Yeah, tsundere intensifies.
Yep, tsundere intensifies, and how long are you going to indulge in that massive womanhood?
Oh, man.
Yes, we get it. You are self-conscious about being flat. This episode, it seems like as well, was just mainly supposed to focus on like, or at least explore how Itsuwa is best girl, or at least Index is worst girl.
Yeah, because I love Index, but she
sucks.
Yeah, she does nothing. She lays around all day.
She lays around all day, begs Toma for food, doesn't cook anything, like, I don't even think really doesn't really take care of their cat.
Attacks Toma.
Yeah, on a regular basis, when he says or does something that she doesn't like.
Yeah, I love how, like, when Toma actually gets mad and tells her to clean the bathroom, she doesn't argue, she's like,
okay.
Oh, okay.
And it's even better because, like, Itsuwa, like, comes over and she's, like, super prepared. She's like, alright, I'm gonna cook food for you guys. Hey, I'm gonna cook food for you guys. Hey, I even have something for the cat. Pulls out, like, this freaking bonita fish.
Premium bonito.
And the cat, it loves it, obviously.
Yeah.
And Index completely destroys the bathtub because she's an idiot.
Somehow.
It's like, how did you break the bathtub with just a scrubber and cleaning solution? I just scrubbed it really hard like you told me to. No, you didn't. She poured it in the water inlet and caused the pipes to burst because it was like high grade. Because
it was like solvent going into the hot water intake.
Yeah, which actually I guess is a thing. Like, you're not supposed to use like liquid plumber or stuff like that really really consistently because that actually will damage pipes over time.
Yeah, I guess it like exploded.
Yeah, and so that leads to the obligatory bathhouse episode.
Yeah, and of course, Misaka is going to the same bathhouse as them. Why wouldn't she be?
But But it's in a way that sort of makes sense for her, because we've already established that she's basically a Gekuda otaku.
Makes sense. Like, you could say anything makes sense as long as they just make her looking like she's getting stamps as soon as she goes to that place. Mm-hmm. Like, that could be literally anywhere in Academy City.
Yeah. I mean, it's
a convenient plot point.
It's a little contrived, but sure. And then
we need to make sure the audience is still paying attention. We need Index, Misaka, and Itsuwa in the bath together. Like, okay, they're there. They're in the bath together right before the plot happens.
Yeah, right before the plot happens, and also, although this did serve a little bit more of a purpose than just obligatory fan service, Railgun is the only person, at least the only girl in Tomo's life, who is aware of the fact that he has amnesia. Everyone else does not.
Does the priestess girl know? The one, the sword girl?
Kanzuki? No, she doesn't. Which, by the way, going back to Kanzuki, like, in a conversation earlier, they talk about how Aqua has saintly power, and it makes me wonder if, that is basically if that he's supposed to just have power on par with the saints, because Kanzuki is one of not even 20 saints in this universe, and they are, like, ridiculously powerful.
Yeah, and the only reason that Toma even, like, survived against her is because she didn't want to kill him.
Yeah, exactly, because if she wanted to, she very easily could have. Toma would be dead, but she didn't want to kill him. But we haven't seen Kanzuki for a while.
No, not for quite a while.
Yeah, not since, like, the Archangel fight in Season 2, I think, actually.
But again, everything seems like a while after this last arc.
Yeah, no kidding. Especially for people who actually waited for years for the season to come out. Anyway, they go and are talking about just how Kanzuki is, like, super powerful and stuff like that. And then they realize that they are, like, everybody just vanishes all of a sudden. Like, it's like a pocket dimension, which makes me wonder a little bit about Aqua's power. Is he just able of creating a pocket dimension where he has absolute control?
I don't know. Like, the only thing we've really seen Aqua do is swing around a really big weapon.
Well, but that's the thing. Like, they would look and they would attack him, and he'd just be poof, gone, and immediately appear behind them, and then immediately, like, he would be doing things that shouldn't be possible. It's almost like the alchemist in Season 1, who had basically whatever I say or whatever I believe becomes reality on a little bit more of a refined scale. Like, he's just able of creating, like, this dimension where I say who's in and out, and I say what goes, pretty much.
I think I just realized, so when Misaka showed up, and she was mad at, what's the group called?
Which group?
Itsua's group.
Oh, the Amakusa.
The Amakusa, yeah. She was mad at them, and then she looked away, and then she looked back, and they were gone. Was that just Aqua?
I don't think so.
Because Aqua showed up later, and then he threw down, her leader's necklace thing.
No, because you have to remember there was, like, a scene when they were actually staring at them when Toma and her and Itsuo were walking around. Yeah. So, yeah.
They're like, oh, man, everyone's disappeared. We fucked up.
Pretty much. Which makes me wonder which leads me to believe they know a little bit about what Aqua is capable of. Yeah. So, again, I think Aqua is capable of basically creating a small pocket dimension where he's in, like, absolute control. Basically like a god over this small, like, pocket of reality.
Interesting point is, after Aqua kicked the shit out of Toma, I thought it was a really cool detail how Itsuwa tried casting healing magic on him, but his arm was like, nope. Yeah. Healing magic doesn't work, because that's magic.
Yep. That was also really cool. The other thing that I thought was kind of ridiculous was when Aqua's like, okay, I'll give you 1 day. 1 day to make a decision, give up your arm, and I won't kill you, pretty much. And then he just, like, whacks him into the freaking water, and he, like, skips, like, 3 or 4 times.
Oh, sweet.
It makes me wonder if that was, like, assuming the whole pocket dimension idea is true, it makes me wonder if it's just him fucking around and wanting to say, yeah, I'm gonna make you skip that far just because I say so. It'd be like the old... Kind of like Dio in JoJo Arc 3, like, just push, like, repeatedly stopping time and pulling Calder up down the stairs just to fuck with him. It just makes me wonder. But we don't really know what the extent of Aqua's power is. We don't know how Toma and Itsuo and the Amakusa all plan on dealing with Aqua.
But I'll tell you what. I'm pretty sure I know what's going to happen. Is Toma's going to figure it out and save the day.
Yeah, probably. I imagine he might also have some help from the other girls, hopefully.
Yeah, other people will probably help him. But this show is nothing if not kind of predictable. But
Yeah,
it's not predictable in a bad way. It's just predictable in a shonen.
Yeah, it's simple. It's simple, but the show is definitely the epitome of simplicity done right. I think it's sort of like to a lesser degree of Hiroaka, where simplicity isn't a bad thing.
Yeah,
Hiroaka is knows what it is, and it doesn't care. It just does. It just embraces those old tropes. This very much is a similar situation. Long story short, this episode was really good. And setting up for a pretty cool arc. Now, next up, this week's episode of Banana Fish. Oh my god. This episode of Banana Fish was kind of hard to watch, actually, in some places.
Yeah,
it was just hard to watch.
I was thinking when we were watching it that Yet Long seems to have a really big grudge against Eiji.
Yeah.
And my theory, at least for this, is that he has such a big grudge against Eiji because Eiji is turning Ash into a caged animal, making him docile.
Yeah,
and Yet Long wants to see Ash wild and free.
Yeah, you said that last week.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, you did a little bit. But this episode was really good with showing Eiji how much he's actually grown, because he actually confronts Yet Long at some point. Yet Long is doing his petty bullshit thing. I brought this up last week. I love seeing Yet Long switch between the kind of calm, calculating, refined sort of person,
and then throw fit.
Yeah, because he's a child.
Yeah.
He's just, Yet Long is just saying all this stuff he fell down to hell because of you, and stuff like that, just trying to really guilt trip him. I bet you won't even do anything about it. I bet maybe you'll kill yourself. You want me to help you out? Here you go. Opens the window. And Eiji just basically says, fuck all that. No, he made his decision. I've stopped blaming myself long ago. And I'll do anything to help him. I'll even kill if I have to.
See, he says that, but I really don't think... I don't think Eiji could pull a trigger if he had a gun in someone's face. Maybe if it was between saving Ash's life or not.
Yeah,
But other than that, I don't think he could just kill somebody.
My theory is if he's to save Ash's life, I think he will, or he might hesitate a little bit, but at the same time, he really has grown. Because remember how early on he was even afraid to just even hold a gun? He was just completely afraid to. But here, he actually, even later in the episode, is just hey, can you get me a gun? Mm-hmm. So he's definitely grown and gotten a lot braver. Although his insults could use a little
They call
power.
him a dummy or something?
Yeah. It was stupid.
He's I'm gonna go save Ash. You're stupid and also you're dumb.
Say what you want to, you bully. He says he says baka, which means dummy or idiot. But which again, you're a little bit of a badass now, but at the same time, you're
doing better.
Yeah, you're getting better. You're getting better, Eiji. And then Sing is officially fed up with Yet Lung's bullshit. Hey, I don't really hate you, but if you're gonna team up with Golzina and do shady shit, I won't hesitate. I might just have to side with Eiji. And then Yet Lung throws a teacup. And then says shut up, and it was hilarious how his voice cracked when he said that.
Yeah, it's just this
shut up!
Childish rage.
But we get to see what kind of trickery that Ash is capable of, which was really cool to watch. But it was kind of distracting when we have to invade Afghanistan and stage a military coup against the Malaban.
Yeah.
Alright, this wouldn't bother me so much if they were pulling a JoJo and they actually were just a subtitle thing. But it wasn't. They actually say in the story, in the dialogue, Afghanistan and the Malaban. And it also wouldn't bother me nearly as much if they already didn't establish about Iraq.
They weren't afraid of saying it before.
They didn't say, like, Tirak or...
Yeah.
And they also even said earlier in this conversation, this could lead to another 9/11. So they're clearly aware of what the events are. Makes me wonder if they, like, stayed faithful to it, because this took place in, like, the 1980s, and right around the time that the Vietnam War was ending, I think. So it makes me wonder how they would try and censor that. Vietnam? I don't know.
Yeah. It was really cool, though, seeing how Ash smooth-talked government officials into basically, like, doing really shitty stuff.
Yeah, a 17-year-old. Like, a bunch of older guys. It's like, are you saying we should abandon our 10,000 troops? Why not? It'll be a good chance to show everybody how great America is. Mm-hmm. That's why not? It'll show everyone how great America is. And then just talking with you makes me feel I'm dealing with the devil. And God, this episode just kind of reveals that, yeah, Golzine is forcing Ash to do stuff like this. And he's basically, this whole thing is just showing how, if you weren't convinced at how much of a slime ball Golzine was at this point, just the depths he's willing to go. Like, yeah. I'm doing exactly as I said I would, but instead of selling your body, I'm having you sell your soul.
He refuses to give control of Ash to anyone else, and
yeah,
that's why he wanted Ash back in this situation.
Yeah.
But, so I think that, in a really bizarre, twisted way, Golzine loves Ash.
Yeah. He loves Ash in the same way that he sees him as I think a little bit of a piece of property. I mean, more than a piece of property. We'll talk a little bit about this later, because it's interesting, like, how he's building up to all this. But this scene in particular, when Ash is basically saying, God, I make myself sick, the direction decisions in this scene were really cool. Like, we see, like, Golzine walk over to the chair at the desk that Ash is sitting at. We see the chair turn, and we don't see how it turned, but in the next cut, it shows, like, Golzine, like, forcing it to turn around. And then when he goes to kiss him, like, it cuts and you just see both of them have blood on their mouths. It's subtle details, but I really like the direction in this scene.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah. You're a mean peacock with sharp claws. I can't wait to pluck your feathers. Ugh, God. And later they go to an opera, but it's revealed that Golzine drugged Ash with pupil-dilating drugs, so he couldn't really see well.
What? Did he do that so, like, Ash wouldn't try to get away, or Ash didn't know where they were going?
I think it was because he didn't want to try and get away. It's like, or he was out in public. Basically, he said something to the effect of, I didn't want you to try anything, so no hard feelings, right? Pretty much. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting, because I think there was a little bit of symbolism here, because when Golzine is looking at the city, it's all bright and vibrant. He basically describes how beautiful and chaotic it is. I can't wait to hand it over to you. And you look at it, and it's like all like, it's a really cool like landscape. But then you get over to Ash's point of view, and everything's just all blurry and muddled, which, again, it's because of the pupil dilating drugs, but I think it's because that's literally how Ash sees the city. He sees it as an ugly mess that he cannot stand. I think there's, again, might be a bit of a stretch, but
that's an interesting interpretation.
Yeah, I personally thought it was cool.
So, speaking earlier, how you're saying how Yetlung is spiteful, he is so spiteful that he will not even let Blanca get laid.
That is actually a perfect segue into what he does next, and basically extorts him into saying, hey, I'm not going to let you leave. Like, because Blanca has, like, a kind of weird code of honor, like, he's not going, like, or an interesting thing, like, he doesn't want people knowing about his past.
He's very private, privative?
Yeah, private.
Private.
I guess, or secretive might also
Secretive.
work.
I'm mixing private and secretive together.
Yeah, he's very secretive about his past, which we find out just why Blanca's actually such a badass in the first place. He's a member of the Spetsnaz, guys!
Yeah, I mean, that makes a lot of sense, given his expertise and all those things.
I thought that was super cool. Like, I really was hoping earlier that Blanca might be trying something to help rescue Ash, but this episode didn't indicate anything of that in particular. No,
he's mostly interested in keeping his past a secret.
Yeah.
Which, jumping forward a little bit, I think it was like the end of the episode where Yetlung gets attacked.
Oh, yeah, that was towards the end, yeah.
So, I think that Blanca set up the attack on Yetlung so that he could look good.
To Yutlung.
Yeah.
I thought that exact same thing, actually, watching through it again. Like, it makes me wonder, like, what exact... Is he trying to just lull Yutlung into a false sense of security, or what is he trying to do? Because I think his priority is Ash. I want to think that, but I don't know. Because they were trying to figure out, like, Ash's gang and AG and Sing, they were all trying to figure out, like, alright, when's the date of the party? Sing just happened to be there, and he happened to, like, coerce the information. It's like, the way he asked it, it's like, so, are you going to be ready for the 20th? It's like, oh, and then Yutlung's like, yeah, I'll be fine. I'll be ready to go to the party. It just seemed like a little too perfect, like how he kind of knew that Sing was going to be there, and how he maybe even knew that Ash's gang was planning something.
Think Blanca's playing all the angles?
Yeah, I think so. Which I think would be super cool. But I think that one of the most troubling scenes in this was...
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Ash's mental breakdown.
Oh, my God. It was so...
Yeah. I don't think that was an act either. I think he literally just had, like, a breakdown, which is very out of character for Ash. Because most of the time he's either angry or composed. He's never, like...
Yeah.
Losing his mind.
This was him, like, legitimately just, like, completely losing it. Because Golzine, the final nail in the coffin was Golzine saying that he plans to adopt him. Mm-hmm. And then saying something to the effect of, you'll be mine in both substance and name. And earlier I was talking about, like, how he sees Ash kind of as a piece of property. Basically what that's trying to say is, I think he's basically trying to say that, I'm marrying you, you son of a bitch. Because what the last thing that he says is, you were born into this world of vulgar prostitute. I'll make you a chaste wife. So, makes me think that he sees Ash as like what the traditional or the old way of marrying somebody was basically a property exchange.
Yeah.
So, makes me think that the adoption has a lot of symbolism to it. It's like, I'm marrying you. Ugh, God. But just Ash's, like, breakdown and just describing, like, how terrible, like, the stuff he went through was. Like, the guy raped me repeatedly, and he asked me, does that hurt? What a cruel joke. I wasn't a person to him. I wasn't even a living thing. Yeah,
it was pretty hard to watch.
Yeah, oh God.
But, you know, Golzina already has all the things. Let's add incest onto it, too.
Yeah.
Legal incest?
I don't know. No. Just, ugh. But it looks like it's setting up for something really cool next episode of I think AG and Ash's gang are going to set up the plan to break Ash out. Which, I think that's going to be an awesome episode.
I think it will be cool, and hopefully nobody I like dies.
I hope the same thing. Like, I don't want AG to die. I don't want Sing to die. I've grown to like Sing. Like, he's not, again, he's
Shorter number 2.
Yeah, he's still not shorter, but I don't want Sing to die.
Yeah.
Anyway, on to the next show.
Next up, we're going to be talking about Goblin Slayer.
This episode was fucking awesome.
Yep.
It was just really awesome. We start off with a little bit of, like, just kind of witty banter. Like, everybody's enjoying their downtime in their own unique way. Like, the dwarf saying, meat and wine. The elf is just saying, I don't really like baths. They kind of bother me. And the lizard man, I was thinking, oh, geez, what are you going to say? Cheese? Something involving cheese. Like, I can't think of anything better for fatigue than cheese. I'm like, damn it.
The character trait is, I like cheese.
I like cheese. We find out that Slayer is not really going to the bath because he wants to write a letter for somebody, who we find out later is for the farm girl, actually.
And we find out that in her... How old is the elf again? 1,000 or something?
Couple hundred.
In her long life, she's never written a letter before.
Yeah, I get that is kind of weird.
Yeah.
Like, I guess, like, I don't know exactly how elven society functions in this world, but usually, like, elves, as far as I remember, they don't really have a need to... They don't really leave the village for, like, until they're considered adults.
I don't know, man.
But, I don't know, like, I didn't come here to think about the intricacies of elvish society, but, we learn a little bit about the Sword Maiden in this
episode. She has hair that perfectly covers up her boobs at all times.
Yeah.
And by boobs, I mean nipples.
Yeah, specifically her nipples, because for whatever reason, anime is I guess we just can't show nipples.
Yep.
They could have done the other thing where it's like they actually did show her boobs, but then just didn't draw on the nipples. Because apparently nipples are the sacred thing. Ooh.
Well, they do that in the JoJo.
Yeah,
They just like all the. I mean, they do that in quite a few anime, just with the guy characters, so they just don't have nipples at all.
Yeah, and then in other shows, like in other manga, like in Negima, for example, like it had a lot of ecchi scenes, but none of the girls had nipples. So I guess just don't draw nipples. And then the Sword Maiden is basically recalling her adventures with the priestess, and it makes me wonder, like, this whole thing makes me wonder, like, or makes me think that she had, like, a really bad experience with the goblins herself, because...
Yeah, it's heavily alluded to that the scars were caused by a goblin attack.
Yeah, goblin attack. And then even the priestess was saying she knows what the goblins were really like. I like how the priestess handled it, too. She didn't say, like, I'm sorry or anything like that. She said, are you all right now? And that just, and even the Sword Maiden just kind of alludes to, like, well, you're a really kind person. Most people just say, I'm sorry, and just kind of walk away.
Yeah, I didn't really think about it that much, but it apparently meant a lot to her.
Yeah, I think it was more of an indication that, like, I understand what you've gone through. Like, I understand that it was probably traumatic. Are you okay? Like, she's legitimately thinking about it. Like, it's probably the same way that most people deal with trauma. Like, most people, like, in a traumatic situation, just usually, like, most people just say, I'm sorry, not really look into how the person's doing.
They kind of make it more about, like, themselves.
Yeah.
Less about you.
Yeah, exactly. The way she phrased it. Are you okay? Not, I'm sorry that happened to you. She basically even said something, these eyes have seen things you can never imagine. Which she is blind now?
It's probably like magical sight or something.
Maybe.
Or like they saw before.
Yeah, and all the horrible things. And probably, yeah, I imagine she has magic sight now.
Yeah, it's just, or it's like, this priest is like looking at her like thinking, uh-huh.
Wow, you have really big boobs.
No, just like, these eyes have seen everything, and she's got blindfolds on. It's just like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay, crazy lady. But the priestess is too nice of a girl to say that, because, again, she's a priestess, and that's a high-ranking archbishop.
Mm-hmm. Goblin Slayer proves how much of a goblin Batman he is.
Yeah. Because the weird thing is he notices something is really bizarre when he notices there aren't any giant rat slaying requests in the sewers. Because the sewers in this city are huge. And he's wondering why that is. Of course, a lot of people, it's like, oh, what a heck, why would there be giant rats here? Just stuff like that.
Well, no, I think they know the giant rats are there, but I think their comment was more about why would there be any quests to kill giant rats? Because he calls them a hick.
Yeah. So,
like, my assumption is that they're like, yeah, giant rats in the sewer are normal. Why would we put up a quest to kill them?
Huh.
That's how I saw the situation.
Maybe. I thought it was really weird that, like, just how he figures all this stuff, like, how he just kind of figures all this stuff out, because after, like, meeting with the elf, he says, I've got to go buy some things, and I'll see you tomorrow, meet me at the sewers, and we find out that Goblin Slayer, he's developing more as a character, because now he even has a bit of a sense of humor. Like, the elf's like, what's that? It's like, don't you know what a bird is?
Yeah, a little bit of snark.
Yeah, it's... Like, yeah, he's developing ever so slightly as a person. Like, he's allowing himself to even have, like, a sense of humor and just banter with people.
Yeah, it's like the first time he's had kind of friends, probably.
Yeah.
Since they all died.
Yeah, exactly. And then, it makes me wonder, like, how did he figure out about poison gas? Because he buys a canary, and it's just like, how did he figure out about poison gas by knowing, just by a lack of rat? It seems to me, like, I thought about it, did he assume that whatever was training the goblins, because he'd established that he knew something was training them, just by how they behaved, did he assume that something was training them had figured out how to activate the poison gas mechanisms in the sewers, so they could basically encroach on their territory, or kill the rats and trap them? Something like that?
Well, like, they discovered that it was like a tomb.
Yeah.
I think it was, yeah. Yeah, it was a tomb, and then they learn there's a bunch of mechanisms there, and it's kind of a windy maze, and it's just to keep monsters out.
Yeah.
So he knew about all the stuff that was down there, and he figured that something must have taught the goblins how to use this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So just in case, I'm gonna go buy a weaponized canary.
Yeah. Which the canary really did come in handy.
Yeah.
Like as soon as I heard it's a canary, I was like, oh, I see where this is going.
Yeah.
Just because
breathing reasons.
Yeah. And then they went into this tomb and they see all these paintings. The first image we see is a painting that resembles a Goblin Slayer's party. Like we've got kinda we see a lizard man and a dude with a helmet with a red feather on top of it, kind of like Goblin Slayer's helmet. We see an elf. I don't think it was lit intentional, and I don't think they were literally saying oh, this is a tomb for Goblin Slayer, but might have been some less than subtle foreshadowing. People are going to die here, or at least attempted foreshadowing. And then the elf says something to the effect, it's oh wow, so this whole tomb is just a den for goblins now. Even the brave are brought low. Let
me get into the meat and potatoes of the episode.
Oh my god.
That whole murder scene. I thought it was, going back to the whole Goblin Slayer's Batman thing, they were oh no, poison's coming in. And he's just don't worry, I have instant cement.
Yeah, just here, I bought this stuff. Yeah, I love, he knew, that's what really is interesting. He knows what his party members are capable of, and he knows how to best utilize their talents.
I don't think he knew about that whole weathering spell. I don't think he knew about that. Because the dwarf was by the way, I have this.
Maybe. I just, we can make it more solid.
Yeah.
So to prevent...
You probably just plan on just stuffing it into the holes.
Yeah, probably.
And then the whole, oh no, poison gas. And he's just here's charcoal.
Here's charcoal. Grab a piece of cloth and wrap it over your mouth. Which
he's just prepared for everything.
Yeah. I want to go back briefly to the whole, tomb scene. I love how the direction in that scene just wasn't, told through, some omnipotent narrator or anything like that. It was told through, really clever character dialogue, just talking about, how... It's this was a den for older people. I've heard legends of stuff like this. It sounds like what you'd expect, a group of adventurers to be talking about. And revealing the backstory of this place. They didn't, get this quest from somebody who explained, the entire backstory of it with an info dump. It was just through dialogue between this party. And just figuring all this stuff out. I thought that was really fun.
Very organic.
Yeah, it felt super organic. And I loved that. Getting back to the meat and potatoes, as you call it, the fighting the goblins, I love how, after they realize that the goblins kind of stop moving so much, it's happened a couple times, the elf's little ear twitch when she notices something's off.
Yeah, I noticed that too, it's a nice little detail.
Yeah.
when they were pushing the
tape, coffin?
Yeah, coffin up to the thing, it's easy to forget just how gigantic the lizard man is.
Yeah, he's huge!
Because, when they were just pushing it up, he had, his arms on either side of Goblin Slayer and Priestess.
Mm-hmm.
Just geez, I guess when they're walking together, it's hard to... He doesn't,
Yeah, he's...
posture, so...
Yeah,
it's easy to
exactly. That is really cool. And then, of course, they realize, oh shit, there's a goblin champion here! It's is that a hobgoblin? No. Something worse.
Mm-hmm.
And the goblins are all just, they just start, running in and, breaking their noses against the fucking protection wall.
They're stupid goblins.
And then Goblin Slayer, runs in and starts killing a bunch of them, and it goes to this, fucking campy-ass, Matrix.
Oh my god, that was so... it came out of nowhere, but it was fucking awesome.
There's all blood hanging in the air, and, body parts everywhere, and just... It was a scene from the fucking Matrix.
But, of course, everything went wrong. Goblin Slayer's prepared for everything, except getting a gigantic club to his chest.
Yeah, because it was interesting how that went down, too, because he was getting ready to sneak up on the Goblin Champion and stab him with a sword, I assume, that he picked up from a goblin or something. But then Goblin Champion just grabs one of his goblin friends and just stab, and then he drops down, and then Goblin Champion leans back and just bang! Slams him against the wall.
Yeah,
and then
it's actually nice to see that, Goblin Slayer's not this omnipotent force. He's just really good because he plans all the time.
Yeah. He's like Batman.
And he didn't plan for this Goblin Champion.
And then, of course, everything goes bad because the priestess, freaks out, and it causes the protection barrier. I had never been so tense, after that had happened. Because immediately, everything starts going bad. The goblins start pouncing on everybody, taking down the lizardman and the dwarf. They start, they pounce on the elf, and they start trying to rip her clothes off.
Oh, they succeed at ripping her clothes off.
Yeah. And then the priestess, is backed into a corner and just staring down this goblin champion. She pisses herself again. Yeah. And then, unlike last time, something bad actually happens to her here.
Yeah. When she got her arm bitten out, that scream.
That facial expression.
Blood-curdling.
It's just, oh god, it was chilling to watch.
I imagine, the voice direction. It's just
alright.
Imagine the worst pain you've ever had in your life. Now scream.
It makes me cringe so much.
But yeah, the next scene, my favorite scene of the episode was just Goblin Slayer's.
What I like to say, rage mode activate.
Yeah, that flare, the flame on his eye. He's just like, this is bullshit. He just fucking starts choking out the.
He picks up the wig, or
it's not a wig. It's actually hair.
Oh,
I looked this up because I was curious. Human hair. It says, when I looked up, it said human hair can stay strong for about 2 years after someone dies.
Yeah.
So I was curious. I was like, wouldn't it have decomposed by now? But, apparently not.
And yes, apparently it is very hard to break. So he just, he goes up and fucking garrots the...
So, yeah, it was a really cool transition scene between that, because he just calmly stands up, cuts the goblin's head in half with his shield, and just, tears the strap off of it. And he's just calmly walking over to the Goblin Champion while, all the other goblins are probably, busy fighting the other ones. So they don't really notice.
Or trying to rape Elf Girl.
Yeah, so they don't really notice. And he just calmly walks up and just fucking starts choking out the goblins.
And he's really going into it. Because it's the Garrett is, digging into his hand and blood starts spurting out.
His hands are bleeding through his leather gloves.
Yeah.
Or I'm assuming they're leather gloves anyways.
And
the fucking metal music starts kicking in.
Yeah.
And, oh my god.
And then as soon as the fucking Goblin Champion starts panicking and swinging his club around, killing his buddies, and then this causes the goblins to get distracted just long enough for the lizardman and the dwarf to turn the tide and just fucking start killing them. And yeah, the metal music, we see the elf is okay. She still has a very skimpy part of her clothes on. I'm fine. It's I'm fine. Just just kill the rest of them.
Yeah.
And they're all cheering Goblin Slayer on, kill it, kill it, kill it. And it's really cool. The whole red eye, it's represented by the snake eye on the dice. It's red too. I think I noticed that, and I thought it was just a bit of a parallel.
Yeah, they definitely make a point of that.
Yeah, and the whole thing of, you're too weak to kill goblins. All you did is just stand there and do nothing. It makes me wonder if that was a internal monologue or just some unseen
force. It wasn't an internal monologue because it wasn't his voice.
Yeah. Or somebody. Or a flashback, I guess. It was either somebody he knew or some unseen force we have yet to determine exactly what it is.
So, when I was watching it, I saw that when they said, march onward unto death.
Yeah.
It was just
it was this
down the hallway, and they showed a goblin.
Yeah.
So it was a goblin saying all that stuff.
Maybe.
Or at least it looked like a goblin in that little artistic flair.
And then as after the march onward unto death thing, he's like, hey goblin, look over here. Rip! Yep. He just tears out his fucking eyeball.
Yeah, and he pretty much becomes like the Grim Reaper to all the goblins as he's just slowly shambling over towards them.
Who's next? Is it you? Oh my!
And then the Goblin Champion leaves.
Yeah,
just runs away.
He just limps away, and his little buddies all come running after him. And that was the coolest thing. What wasn't cool is what followed. Find out the priestess is still alive, a little bit wounded, but but is still alive, and she's like, I'm sorry. He's like, it's okay, these things happen. And then he passes out. We freeze on an image of a bird, like, just staring at it and staring at them and blinking.
Yeah, so this was actually a screw-up, I think, by Crunchyroll.
Mm-hmm.
Because apparently, that was supposed to be overlaid with the credits.
Mm.
Which would have made a lot more sense.
Yeah, because I was watching this, and it was like a minute and a half of this. Like, because I actually bothered to time it. It was like a minute and a half, so the whole credits thing makes a degree of sense.
Yeah, I thought they were just trying to, like, my only guess was they were just really trying to make a point there.
Yeah, I thought they were trying to be like I thought they were trying to, like, pull something like Evangelion did. There's a scene in Evangelion when it's just...
Is this a spoiler?
Evangelion's like 20 years old, man.
I guess so.
So there's a scene in Evangelion when where it's just a still image of Unit 1 holding somebody in his hand. It's like frozen there for like 90 seconds. It just stays on that image before something happens. And all you hear is just this music. I don't know. It was making me wonder if that was just an attempt at cutting animation costs, like for that, if they were trying to do something like that and prove like an artistic point.
No, yeah, I saw a video of what it actually was supposed to look like, like the real version with the credits going down, and yeah, it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
So Goblin Slayer is either dead, which I doubt it. I don't think the show could go without Goblin Slayer.
The show is literally called Goblin Slayer.
Yeah. But he's probably just mortally wounded, and they're
making that a point.
They're making that a point of, yeah, this can happen.
Yeah.
They're not invincible.
Yeah, he's definitely not invincible. He's just a man.
Yeah.
I was thinking something. It makes me wonder if the red moon, because we know that this world has two moons. It has the green moon, which is supposed to be where the goblins come from, according to Goblin Slayer's belief. And then there's the red moon, which I wonder if that's where the unseen force, like, that was talking to him came from, and what gave him this rage mode sort of deal. Like, if he was kind of blessed by whatever is from there. Like some kind of god of vengeance or something.
No, I don't think that it was giving him any additional powers. I think Goblin Slayer really fucking hates goblins, and he heard Priestess screaming, and he's like, oh man, goblins are doing stuff that I hate. I hate goblins!
So maybe it isn't like some kind of... It makes me wonder, though, if something else came from the red, or even if the red moon is just supposed to represent him and his hatred for goblins. I think that the red moon, it's a little bit too perfect with the whole red eye thing. And because the red moon is smaller than the green moon, and the green moon is supposed to represent the goblins.
Could also just be a moon.
Could be, but I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking too deeply on this.
That's no moon.
Alright, so enough of Goblin Slayer. We could talk more about Goblin Slayer, but we have other shows to talk about. Golden Kamuy 2.
So, real quick. I love how Ushiyama's only part in the opening is fucking Judo throwing a bear over his shoulder.
Right?
It's like a second long. It's just like going through all the characters, and he's just like, just fucking throws a bear.
Yeah, that is a funny little detail. I love that too. It's just comedic. But Ushiyama is ridiculously strong.
Yeah.
So
that's a pretty cool dude.
Yeah.
Also a dick sensei.
Yeah, also dick sensei. This episode actually focused on Tanigaki.
Yeah, it was like 70% flashback.
It was a flashback within a flashback.
It was. Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I had no problem with that. It was a really interesting kind of self-contained story.
Yeah, because it was Tanigaki. It was Tanigaki reminiscing with Tsurumi. He asked a very simple question: have you ever heard of Kanamochi? At the time, you don't really think anything of it, but after this is done, you're like, oh, geez. Like, it just shows, like, such a simple thing and such a simple question is actually tells, like, a really powerful story here. Because it's all about Tanigaki's time and how he got on this path that he is now a part of. Because it's a story of his attempted revenge.
Yeah, his misguided revenge.
Yeah. Basically, Kanamochi is a is a special like food ration that people of his clan prepare. And this whole thing serves as a segue into like his backstory, like how he grew up in this village and how he had a younger sister. His younger sister was married to his good friend that he was trapped in a blizzard with. But then one day, his sister was found dead because he was talking about how his younger brother found it, and one of the lines was, "When I saw the panic in his eyes, I felt like I'd been stabbed with an icicle." And then there was a cool directing decision when it shows him like running down like this dark path, like there's shadows all around him, and there's like this light at the end of the tunnel, and as soon as he reaches that light, you see like the burned down house. And I just thought it was really cool. He deduces that Kenkichi, his friend, was the one who killed Fumi. We don't know why yet, and that just puts him down on this path of, I'm going to find him, and I'm going to kill him.
Yeah, I like that war scene, or the battle on the hill, or whatever. They made a point to, like, show, they showed Sugimoto, they had him interact a little with him.
The audience knows it's Sugimoto, but he doesn't.
They showed, I saw Ogata there. What's his name? Guy that now has shotgun foot. He was also there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just showed like a bunch of people a bunch of the characters like, they were there.
Yeah, Hill 203. And they had a pretty cool way of showing like how, figuring out where Kenkichi was, because Sugimoto, the first thing he asks is when he sees Tanigaki is, "Hey, got any food?" Which makes sense. At least his priorities are in check.
Well, yeah, it's because Sugimoto even said before that, like when you go to war, you have to become a different person.
Yeah,
so it's probably just base survival instincts, really.
Yeah, and then he gave him some Kanimochi, and he's like, like I knew a guy from the Akita region, and the way that you said eat, it just made me think that you were from the Akita region, and he's just immediately figures out just based on that little exchange that it's like Kenkichi was in Sugimoto's division. I love how in the whole scene, we talked a little bit about this before, like how when Tsurumi is like reminiscing with Kenkichi's like, it feels like such a real organic way, like just soldiers reminiscing about a really hard fought battle.
Yeah, it's really fascinating to see how Tsurumi interacts with his troops, because like I've said it before, it's a lot easier to understand why people follow him.
Yeah,
why people are so passionate, especially like the lieutenant from last episode.
I forget his name. Koito, I think.
Yeah, Koito. He's so passionate about following Tsurumi, and because Tsurumi seems to like he takes a lot of interest in his troops. Sometimes he's an asshole and crazy. But also, like, he's got a lot of charisma and passion. Yeah, exactly. And he's a character. He's not just a bad guy.
Yeah, exactly. He's complicated. He's certainly flawed, but he's not without his redeeming qualities, which I guess is what all the series is about, pretty much. Just like how war changes people, like, and how like some people will never go back to the people they once were, stuff like that, and trying to reclaim all that or find purpose like after it's all said and done.
Yeah, it's definitely like a sub kind of plot to this show.
Yeah, exactly. I think that the most heartbreaking thing about this scene is when we find out that the guy that Tanigaki's following is Kenkichi. When Kenkichi like basically stops a Russian suicide bomber, like, and gets blown up mostly in the result. Tanigaki finally has a chance to have his revenge. But then, the most heartbreaking thing is, I don't know who you are, because he can't see anymore. I don't know who you are, but I want you to take a message to a man named Tanigaki in Akita. And then he tells, like, this really sad story about how Fumi, his wife, got sick with smallpox. He basically had to fucking kill her and basically burn down the house and leave without telling anybody, because if they did, then if everyone in the village knew, that family would be shunned forever. When somebody is has smallpox, they just abandon them. That's their village custom. They just abandon them.
That's probably a lot of village customs, because it's like, well, like, I don't want to risk getting it.
I mean, again, it makes sense, but it is kind of cruel, and it's sad because even Kenkichi is just thinking to himself, I've heard stories about like when we leave those defenseless sick people, like wild animals and stuff will just run in and kill them pretty much, and he's just like, I want to kill her in a way that makes her suffer as little as possible. And then Tanigaki, like Fumi tells the thing to Kenkichi, if it doesn't spread to you, you have to decide how to spend the rest of your life. Find your role in life, which is something that strikes a lot with Genjiro or Tanigaki later. And I love
his Kenkichi's role in life was
trying to atone for what he did.
Yeah, because like in that moment where he realized that if that Russian suicide bomber was going to make it, then it would have been a bunch of the people, bunch of his fellow soldiers were going to die. So in that moment, he decided he'll go out and which I don't know what he was doing when like he reached out to grab the grenade on the guy's chest. Like what?
Maybe he was.
Pinch it. Maybe
I think he was gonna try and. I think if anything else, he was gonna try to do like what we'd seen before. It's like they throw grenades at us and we pick them up and throw them right back at them. Yeah. So maybe he was planning like, okay, if I'm gonna go out, I'm at least gonna try and take some out with me. Like I'm not gonna let just this be for nothing. But then what happens next is Tanigaki doesn't say anything. He just like takes off a piece of Kanamochi, feeds it to him. And just from that, he recognizes it's like Kanamochi with walnuts. Genjiro, is that you? And then he dies. It's a really sad, powerful scene. And it definitely shows like how Tanigaki doesn't really need to just say anything. He said what he needed to say with an action, and I thought that was a really powerful little bit. I love this.
Going back to Tsurumi. I don't know how he interacts with people. Like, he knows exactly what to say to calm his soldiers down. Like, because as soon as Tanigaki tells that story, he's like, well, you're going to have to make me some of that Kanamochi sometime. Yeah, and then Tanigaki smiles.
Yeah, he basically, like, because Tanigaki is thinking, well, what is my role in life? And then basically Tsurumi says, I need you here. I need you to make me some of that Kanamochi. And then he just kind of laughs and plays it off. And yeah, it was... Again, I didn't really like Tsurumi before. I'm really...
Like in the first season?
Yeah.
Because they didn't really give him a lot of character besides he's just the antagonist.
He's just kind of crazy. Yeah. But yeah, this season is really delving into just, Tsurumi's actually not only a competent leader, but gives a rat's ass about his troops. Like, he might be manipulating them a little bit, but he still understands and wants to support his troops.
Certainly doesn't give a fuck about anyone outside of his regiment.
Yeah, no.
But like his direct underlings, he definitely cares about.
And then the last bit of the episode is Sugimoto and Ashirpa's group meeting up with Tanagaki's.
That was I don't know what like dance she was doing.
The crane dance.
It was adorable.
Yeah, it was adorable. Ashirpa is adorable.
But yeah, they found each other. Tanagaki's mission right now is to get Ashirpa back to her
dad, I think.
Her aunt?
Maybe her aunt.
Grandma?
Okay, yeah. He actually wants to protect her grandma because it turns out that she was making her burial shroud in secret, which is custom to Ainu culture.
His mission is he wants to get Ashirpa back to cheer her up.
Yeah. And hopefully find out who's going to betray her. Because fortune teller lady, whose name escapes me, told her that, you're going to die, probably. So what the Ainu do in secret is they prepare their own burial shroud, and they basically are just preparing to die. And then all their children, like, bury them. And there's actually an interesting thing about Ainu culture. Ainu will raise any child as their child, even if it isn't their own directly by blood.
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting, like, survival thing. That was probably established for that reason.
Yeah.
We need to keep passing on offspring, so we need a good reason for people to take care of their offspring.
Exactly.
So it's something that kind of started off probably as like a selfish survival thing, but just kind of grew into like a nice culture.
Yeah, it is a fascinating little culture. That's the other really cool thing I enjoy about watching Golden Kamuy. Aside from the really, really good war drama stuff, we also see like just some really fascinating stuff about the Ainu, which I adore. But on to the next show, IRODUKU.
Alright, so this episode was mostly about Chigusa and Kurumi.
Yeah, I really like that. And I didn't like how we established immediately that...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like, well, in the first 10 seconds, we established that, hey, Hitomi can't see colors again.
Yeah, that's such a bullshit cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Just like... I imagine if you just cut out the ending, the opening, she was just like... Because the last scene in the last episode was, I got my colors back. And the first scene in this episode was, I lost my colors again. Like, come on. Like,
it's like, really?
I was expecting at least an episode in between.
Yeah.
To maybe, build it up a little bit.
Yeah, I was expecting it to be a little bit more, of, let's build up, like, how she can see colors again, and how that's a really cool, and how that's a really sweet moment, but then something's going to make her lose her colors again, and she's going to be distraught, and then figure out, but then everything will work out. On the other hand, I was a little bit upset about that, but then I thought about it a little bit, and I was thinking, well, I guess it kind of plays a little bit more into the mystery magic angle of this. Like, what exactly caused her to get her colors back in the first place? And what was the impetus for that? And if she finds whatever that is, will it make her have her colors back permanently? Yeah,
it could definitely, lead to some interesting plot points, but it's like the whole... I think it's like 1-3-2 storytelling.
Yeah.
Where it's like, here's what happened, here's the result, and later on we're going to tell you how we got there.
Yeah, okay.
It's like, I don't know, it still just leaves a bad taste in my mouth for now. But that aside, like, yeah, this episode really goes to prove that it doesn't just focus on the main characters. Because, like, you have Chigusa and Kurumi, who are just there teasing back and forth. I think is really adorable.
Yeah. And then you actually said, "Just kiss already."
Oh yeah, because I mean, it's like I've seen this situation hundreds of times before in anime. And it's like not always as good as this.
Yeah, but it's a trope that you're familiar with. But this whole episode is it's pretty much set to the backdrop of we're going on a one-day camping, like a one-day camp, pretty
anime
much.
Camp.
Training, yeah.
Camping, laid back camp. Next year!
Okay. Yes, we really liked laid back camp. I think Rex way more than I do.
One more. So bad.
It was a good show. But this whole thing is all about, like, their training camp for the photography club. And it's just like a little excursion and a bonding activity. And before that, we got to see a little bit of Kohaku getting a chance to tell Hitomi's fortune and also do a title drop. Like, let's tell the stars. Let me tell your fortune. You should have fun and live with it now. If you do, a world of colors awaits you.
Oh, yeah. I was just waiting for Hitomi to just be like...
Yeah.
Every time she says colors.
Yeah. Of course, I love Hitomi's response to it. It's like, that's just really vague.
Yeah. Welcome to astrology.
Yeah, pretty much. We get a little bit of a character interaction and development about Asagi as well, because she's, like, kind of forced into being the president of the club, or the acting president.
She's very heavily suggested.
Yeah, and then Hitomi's like, I'll do whatever I can to support you, which means Hitomi should be the vice president.
Yeah, fucking Kohaku, I think, chimed in with that one.
Yeah, damn it, Kohaku. Although...
I'm surprised Kohaku didn't be like, I want to be president.
Oh, yeah.
Really quick aside, I think it's, Kohaku's dad that gives Hitomi an iPad.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, or a tablet or whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like giving her a tablet is the equivalent of, like, giving one of us a Nokia flip phone.
Oh my god, right?
Because she's just like, oh, this is cool.
It's kind of archaic, but it's cool. And then there was actually a nice little, that whole scene, though, had a nice little conversation about, like Hitomi wondering what the colors were like because she couldn't see them. And her just realizing, it felt normal to not know what colors were like for a while, but now I just want to know and experience all of them, which was a nice little scene. But then...
Chigusa is... I mean, like, he's dumb, but he's dumb in, like, a stereotypical, male romance character way, because after we learn a little more about Kurumi's sister... and how she wants to, be like her, and she's kind of upset that she's not as successful as her. Multiple times, Chigusa calls her little Kurumi.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, God. which obviously pisses her off.
Yeah.
Like when they're having a little grill off. Or grill.
Yeah, barbecue. Like, and she just starts taking people's meat.
Yeah.
Like, hey, that was mine. And kind of going back to Karumi and her sister, I felt the exposition dump between them when they were talking about, like, her sister's life felt a little clunky. I don't know about you. Like, I watched it again. It just felt like it was it was written more for the audience's benefit, and it didn't feel like a really organic conversation between sisters. Like, oh, you went to Tokyo, you went to Tokyo, like this big university, you had a secret job and stuff, and it's like, it didn't really feel like an organic conversation between sisters. It felt like, oh, this is written for the audience to fill a little bit in on their backstory. It just, I didn't like it.
Yeah, it's not something I noticed.
Yeah, it just felt a little bit, ugh. And then, when Karumi and it's established, Karumi has an inferiority complex for her sister, because she takes a picture and it's like, we look nothing alike. Totally not an indication that I'm envious of you, big sis.
Yeah. It was a really cool message, though. Because, like, as the episode further progressed, it got to the point where, like, Chigusa was really upset, because on the way back, he's, like, trying to find...
Passenger boat.
Yeah, the passenger boat.
But it takes off early.
Yeah, and it was a really cool, like, inspirational moment where they're like, no, we can't make it, it's too late. And Chigusa says, drop it. Just drop it, don't worry about later, just go now. Go now.
The whole thing about the whole theme of this episode was learning to live in the now, which was just, and try to make experiences. Because because they realized immediately that they missed the boat. Mm-hmm. They missed the boat, but they were able to make a nice scene anyway. Because it's like, well, this skyline's still really pretty. We can make some good pictures of this. And that was just like the epitome of living in the now and still like making the most out of a situation that didn't pan out quite the way you expected it to.
Yeah, and Chigusa finally realizing how much of an idiot he was, mm-hmm. and telling Kurumi, it's like, you don't have to think so hard about later.
Yeah,
you can just be yourself.
Yeah, people like things to different extents. You don't have to know all that stuff right away, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, it was a cute little mini arc about those two.
It was, and then
and also Hitomi was there.
Yeah, Hitomi did a lot in the background. She was supporting Kurumi and stuff like that, because the thing about Hitomi is she's become a lot more invested in like the club activities and wanting to find out more about her club mates, wanting to support them, and ultimately is just trying to become more of the group. Like a lot of little things, like she's smiling more. Like when Asagi was like super nervous about announcing the camp, Asagi bows, and then Hitomi kind of looks at her, like, and pauses for a second, but then bows alongside her, like kind of like she was imitating her. But then, with Kurumi, she's like, "Hey, do you want me to tell your fortune?" Kind of like what Kohaku did, and said the exact same thing.
Yeah, that's kind of vague.
Yeah, and it was the exact. It just goes to show you that astrology is bullshit, because they said literally the exact same thing for like two completely different star signs.
Yeah,
but the episode ends with Hitomi like looking at the skyline and. Like realizing she
another cliffhanger.
Yeah, she's like, guys, I have something I want to tell you, and yep, another cliffhanger. But at the same time, the whole episode was also focused on like Hitomi trying to just accept and like wanting to be more part of the group. But this was something that was kind of holding her back from being really a part of that group, I think. And she was thinking to herself this whole episode, like, I don't know what to say. I don't know how I would say it now. I should have said it by now. And
what do you think she's gonna tell him?
Oh, I can't see colors, guys. And they're probably gonna say, "Really? That's all?"
Oh yeah. Wait. Oh yeah, that's right. She only told them about the time travel thing.
Yeah, they only know about the time travel. Like
the time travel thing seems like a bigger thing than the not seeing colors thing.
I mean, but you have to remember that the time travel thing kind of just appeared by accident.
Yeah.
Because that was Kohaku doing a dumb, and it's like, wait, granddaughter. But
it's working well so far.
Yeah,
like, she. If you go back to think about how Hitomi was in like the first episode and how emotionless and distant she was from everyone, and now she's like really being part of the group now.
Yeah,
she actually has friends.
Yeah, she's being happy. She's, like I said, like doing all these like little things that are indicating like, okay, she's still got a ways to go, but she's improving. But enough about IRODUKU. Let's go on to our next show.
JoJo's Funky Adventure.
Oh
my goodness. That scene.
All right. So first, I want to talk a little bit about like a little bit of characterization for Narancia. He is like the epitome of like a flip a switch brat. Because like he's like, ow, my head hurts, hey, you son of a bitch! And then starts kicking him on the ground.
Well, it's not even just him. Was it Mista or Fugo that like stabbed him in the cheek?
I don't know.
I think it was Oh no, it was one of them. Yeah. But like they're all kind of crazy.
But the only people who don't like join in on kicking his body, because Bucciarati used sticky fingers to take off his head, like, and separate it from his body, so they were just kicking his headless body. The only people who weren't were Giorno and Bucciarati, who's like, we've got more important things to do.
Yeah. I cringed so hard when Mista
God,
just hooked him in the eyelid.
Yeah.
Fishing line.
Oh my God, it's
maybe like
so
anything around my eyes I can't stand.
It's so freaking, because he takes a fishing line and then like hooks his eye and then puts a pair of glasses like right in the sun, right over his exposed eyeball. Yeah.
At first I thought, like, is that a stand, like, making a mark in his eye? And I was like, oh, no, they're just using the glasses as a magnifying lens.
It proceeded to the most out-of-nowhere music video, pretty much.
It was so good.
This had to have been an anime-exclusive scene, because how could you do this in the manga?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because they did this for, like, 45 seconds.
Yeah, it was a pre-practice. So Narancia just starts, just busting out some moves, and then Fugo, like, looks over and sees him, and he joins in.
And then Mista does.
Yeah, Mista first.
And then Fugo. And some people have been, this apparently has been the most memeable thing this week, because, like, I've seen, like, videos in, like, my recommended feed on YouTube, and it shows, like, just the torture dances people are calling it, because that's what it is.
Yeah.
Oh.
And, like, if the dance wasn't weird enough, there was also that, like
the kind of trippy music.
Trip.
Yeah, the trippy-ass visuals. Oh, God. And just, like, Zucchero, turns out what his name was. Zucchero's just, like, muffled screams because his sticky fingers zippered his mouth shut.
Yeah.
Oh, God, it was so hard to watch.
If it wasn't JoJo, I think it would have been weirder.
Yeah.
But the fact that it was JoJo, just, like, it made it a lot easier just to go along with it.
Exactly. But after, like, 45 seconds, Bucciarati finally cuts them off, which is great. But then Abakio decides to like punch him in the face, like send his head like spinning over the rail,
breaking the fishing wire. He punched him hard enough to snap the fishing wire.
But the hook was still there, so yeah. I have to imagine that when his head hit the ground, like the hook was still like rubbing against his eyeball.
Can we not imagine that? So, about Abakio, I assumed that Moody Blues could only go back 5 minutes.
I thought so too.
Because, like, I feel like last episode they very specifically made it 5 minutes.
Which maybe
he went by like 40 minutes?
Yeah, for like 45 minutes, something weird like that. So there's got to be obviously more. There's more to it than we know. Like, maybe Araki is just kind of bullshitting it like he always does. Because he always forgets, like, what his the stand user's powers are. Like, remember in Stardust Crusaders, Kakuin had the ability to possess people, like, at first, but then he never used that power again later.
I don't even remember that.
Yeah, and when Kakuin was introduced, he had the ability to possess people, but then, like, after he became a member of the Crusaders, he just did Emerald Splash repeatedly.
Yeah, that's the only thing I remember, is him just shooting out sharp gems.
And the, like. But they eventually get a plan, like, because they realize, that Zucchero was underneath the boat and was able to announce to his partner somewhere, like, what Bucciarati and the crew were planning, and that that Polpo's hidden fortune was on the island of Capri.
Really quick aside, I like how the author, I'm assuming it's the author,
mm-hmm.
I don't know if it does it in the manga, but in the anime, whenever they go to like a new place, they take a kind of like a narrative step aside
Yeah.
to explain the place to you.
Yeah.
Kind of makes it easier to, like, just put everything together.
Mm-hmm.
And also, it's cool just learning about those real places.
Yeah, it was a nice, like, it's like, I'm never going to use this, I'm sure, but it's interesting to know that there was a Roman emperor who had a vacation home in Capri and didn't go home for 10 years.
Yep. So, you're talking about Giorno's speech. I love how, as soon as he gives his speech about the plan, he's like, I have a dream.
Yeah.
And it's like, I have to do this. And the clouds themselves part. And the sun shines down on him.
Oh, man, I didn't notice that. That's hilarious. Yeah. Although, and then Giorno gets this plan. I'm going to turn this life preserver into a fish. And I'm going to hold on to this fish and make him swim me there like before the other guy can get there, if he isn't already. And then Mista decides to go along with it, which makes me wonder, how exactly did the fish pull them both across so quickly? Because it wasn't a huge fish. It was like a tiny fish.
But I mean, it doesn't, I don't know, maybe it didn't necessarily operate under actual fish laws.
Maybe. I don't know.
When they got there, they were completely dry.
Yeah.
They got out of the water and they were just like, there was no water on them.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. I think it was also just interesting, like, when we see Mista, in this whole scene, it's just like Giorno's talking about his plan, and Mista's just off preparing lunch. And
where the fuck did he get a platter of salami, cheese, bread, and wine?
Yeah, and a little table with a tablecloth.
Yeah, right. He got the whole thing.
Like, wait, what? How did you do? Where did you store this? And then I'd assume, and he was talking about like, oh, it's past lunch. It's way past lunchtime. I was thinking to myself, Mista has to have been obsessive compulsive, given his hatred of the number 4, and also now this. I thought it was just him being obsessive compulsive, but turns out no, it's for his stand, Sex Pistols.
Ah, man. So, like, I thought the name was familiar when I heard Sex Pistols. Mm-hmm. So I went up. I heard I heard Anarchy in the UK.
Oh,
that's
such a good
That's the song I heard before.
Yeah.
But I ended up like listening through like a bunch of their songs after this episode. Oh, Sex Pistols, so good British punk rock.
Yep, no kidding. Basically, Sex Pistols has six little guys in there, 6 little things that. He says not to refer to them as things because they hate being treated like pets.
Yeah.
But it has 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, and 7. Again, keeping in character. He's like, because 4 is bad luck, but he's an Italian man, so 4 isn't really a symbol of bad luck in Italy as far as I'm aware, but it is in Japan, so you know what? I'll give that a slide.
It's my favorite stand so far.
I
love how much personality it has. And I also just love how it works.
Yeah.
Like the action scene they devoted to it where the guy just closed the shutters and he's just like, well, just fires anyways. Yeah, I love how they like kickball the bullet around. It's fucking sweet.
Alright, yeah. And then Giorno and Mista basically try to lure out Zucchero's partner. Which actually, this is what I was bothered about. Like, they didn't know, like, they knew that he was going to be on the island of Capri, and there was, like, still 45 minutes on the clock. Like, and the big part of this plan was they didn't know where Zucchero's partner was, they didn't know what he looked like, or anything like this, but they didn't use the additional time to determine 40 minutes or so, to determine if Zucchero had said anything more to his partner. Like, hey, give me a signal when you get there. Anything like that. Because it was based on this misunderstanding of, hey, why did you call for a signal all of a sudden, Zucchero? Is something wrong? It's just felt a little like, wait, what? That seems like a huge oversight.
Yeah, it's not like it would have taken any longer. They could have just fast-forwarded it.
Yeah, they could have, and then it's like, okay, did he say anything else? Nope, he didn't say anything else. Like, so you could assume that, alright, they talked about the plan beforehand, like, before he'd, like, gave him an update of the situation, but still, it makes me wonder, why not just take a little bit of time to just determine if Zucchero had said anything else? It would have easily prevented this huge misunderstanding.
Yeah.
But we wouldn't get an awesome scene of Sex Pistols in action, so...
and we got like another cliffhanger. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess I don't really need to bring that up because literally every ending of a JoJo episode is a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
That's why to be continued is such a meme.
Yeah, I love how when Zucchero like sees Mista finally, and they look at each other. He's like, "Wait a second, that's one of Bucciarati's guys." And I was thinking to myself, "I know it is because of that stupid hat." And the cool thing about Sex Pistols is like he fired 2 shots. And it makes me wonder, like in order to use like the certain number, it seems like he has to fire that many number of shots because he fired the first one and the shot just went straight through. And I assume that placed one of them, number 1, in position. And then he fired the second shot and then number 2 was flying in.
Yeah, because they all ride the bullet.
Yeah.
So, like, to get 2 in there, he had to fire 2 shots.
Yeah, which is so cool. And then they, like, pass it to each other and kick it and change trajectory. It's like Wanted, but not stupid.
Yeah, it makes more sense than Wanted.
Yeah, which Wanted makes absolutely no sense. I do not like Wanted. I don't know. It was just, this episode was really cool. And the final episode, like the last bit of the episode really was just Mista trying to track this guy down and like, which makes me wonder, it's like, why is he so good at investigating? Maybe we'll find that out in the next episode or something. But he grabs onto this truck that the guy was, like, preparing to drive away in, and then they see each other's face, and then it cuts off with a "to be continued." Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
That cuts off with a, "I wake up feeling so horny."
Oh, God, I hate that song. I mean, I hate to admit it too, but unfortunately the song's growing on me.
Yeah.
Like I don't like it, but I'm still like kind of like beating my head to the.
Like, yeah, I do wake up feeling so horny.
Like I absolutely I hate the song, but I can't deny that it's actually got a beat that's growing on me.
Yeah.
So yeah, enough of JoJo. Get on to our next show, Karakuri Circus. I'm gonna preface this by saying, I watched this episode twice. I liked it a lot more the first time, because actually when I sat down and looked at it, I realized that this episode had a lot of stupid shit in it. Because we start off with raising Narumi from the dead with this magical medicine MacGuffin, Aquavitae. So, because Aquavitae, it's the reason I'm saying it's a MacGuffin, because it's kind of out of nowhere, and it's established that it's not going to be able to be recreated again because the original alchemist who created it is long dead, and it's probably never going to be referred to ever again. Like, or with the exception of, it's just a part of Narumi's life now. It's just, that's a thing now.
Yeah. It definitely seemed like a convenient plot device.
Like, I talked about this a little bit with you. It makes me think that, like, during the original run of the manga, like, popularity polls, like, after Narumi died, fans, like, had an outcry about it or something, so the author had to immediately say, okay, how the fuck do I bring this character back? Like, that's the only explanation I can give. Like, I don't know. But
Or it could have just been, like, he really liked the outline of how his story went. Yeah. But that part was just poorly executed.
Probably. I really don't know. But, and it's been established that he's been awake again for over a month, so it takes place somewhat before the events of last week's episode, where it's been established that, so Narumi was in a coma for a month, and then he was getting ready to do whatever for the next month, before maybe meeting up again? I don't know. It's a pseudo flashback, kind of like, meanwhile, this happened.
Yeah, meanwhile at the ranch.
Yeah, and we also get introduced to Shirogane's brother, cousin, relative.
Family, relative, yeah. He's like, I'm a Shirogane.
Yeah, Guy Christophe Rick.
We also got to see old lady who smacked Shirogane's hands with a ruler.
Yeah, like creepy, like as a Guy says, looks like a witch from a fairy tale. Which she really does. Like, I was thinking that was actually a little funny joke. And Narumi finds out, like, through a very convenient kid watching him, and leading him to this group of other kids, that not only did he know martial arts before, but that he also had Zonifa syndrome.
Yeah, and I don't know. I felt like I felt like Zonoff syndrome being so important to the plot was kind of clumsy.
Yeah.
I
was expecting it to be like just him having it, or like it being a very rare thing, but no, he's in a hospital filled with at least 2,000 kids that have Zonoff syndrome, even though we only see like at most 11 of them on screen. Makes you wonder where all the other ones are.
Really quick note, I love how as soon as Narumi sees upset kids, his first instinct is to try and make them laugh.
Yeah, and
that's a really cool little
because it was just like, as he puts it, my memories may be gone, but my feelings are not, which is kind of cool, actually.
He wants to make kids smile,
and he does that, and he gets to spend a little bit of time with the kids. He gets to play with them and stuff like that, and that's all really cool. It's really heartwarming stuff. We only ever know the names of like 3 kids: Tom, who's good at soccer; Mark, who was the kid who led him to the other kids; and then Beth, who likes to dress up. I thought it was, I don't know, like...
Beth die?
Yeah, I'll talk about that later. And then Tom, or Mark rather, like the kid who initially led him to all these other kids, says something really nice, like, hey, collecting pictures reminds me of the people who drew them. And I thought that was kind of cool and kind of an adorable little scene. And then we get a scene where all I could say is, boy, that escalated quickly.
Yeah.
Because we find out, like, what exactly this hospital is all about. We find out that, like, all the nurses and all the doctors here get, like, super high on drugs.
Yeah, all 3 of them.
Yeah.
All 3 doctors that are there.
Yeah, the nurse, and I pointed out, like, I thought the doctors getting high on drugs makes a bit of sense, but the way they first displayed it was super, like, ham-fisted. Because you see, like, Nurse Helen...
Specifically with the nurse, anyways.
With Nurse Helen, she just kind of, like, starts breaking down. She, like, breaks open a medicine cabinet, like, forces open this pill bottle and dumps them all on the ground, and then by handfuls, like, just start shoving them in her mouth.
Shoving pills in her mouth like they're a package of Altoid sours.
And then he's like, and then Narumi's like, are those vitamins or something?
Are those vitamins?
And I'm like,
yes, they're vitamins. And they're really feel-good vitamins.
Yeah, exactly. And the whole thing, and then the doctor's like getting a tourniquet ready and shooting themselves. That makes more sense, but it just segued in with the weirdest way. I'm surprised the bitch didn't overdose. For God's sake.
Maybe they were vitamins.
Maybe they were vitamins.
Maybe she's super healthy now.
And then Narumi, of course, gets understandably pissed off about that and rushes to tell, like, the head of the hospital, like, all your doctors are getting high on drugs. So what? It's necessary for them to do their jobs.
Freaking just kicks through the
glass.
The glass.
And, yeah, you have... They're just ruthlessly interrogating the children, who we find out the main antagonists, at least for this arc, are members of the Midnight Circus and the Automata.
Okay, so I think this plotline is absolutely genius. Just specifically the part where it's an evil circus that spreads the disease that makes it so people have to laugh. Because a circus gets their, a circus gets their revenue by making people laugh.
Yeah. Or
entertain. So I think that's a really, really good plot idea.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, executed super well.
Yeah, because it turns out that they're the ones, like, spreading, like, they're spreading the disease, like, we're like these little machines. We don't know entirely why yet. I'm thinking that in future episodes we'll figure out a little bit more about their motives. I'm hoping so. But yeah, that whole thing, just realizing about the Midnight Circus, it's like, okay, this could be interesting. Mm-hmm. It's bizarre, but all right, let's see where this goes. And then we find out that the research for Zonoff syndrome is not going well, and we find out what Zonoff syndrome is truly capable of. First, it's just people are just like have difficulty breathing,
basically asthma.
Yeah, and are pain all over. The second stage is complications due to immune deficiencies, which, all right, weird, but makes sense. And the third is they're just they're unable to die at this point. I saw that and was like, wait, what? How does that work?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. But it was pretty brutal looking.
Yeah, because we just go to, like, this basement, pretty much, where there were just kids just, like, lined up.
Yeah, like hundreds of kids, it looked like. And after seeing that scene, I was like, okay, the drugs make a little more sense now. Because, like, when you're in a hospital and you're trying to smile all the time, and then you see that every day, or you know it exists, I guess, the drug thing makes a little more sense. They should have done it a little more subtle. Yeah,
and my other problem is, like, the third part of the disease makes absolutely no freaking sense. How are they suddenly unable to die? Like, are they just, like, do their nervous system just completely shut down, or what the fuck? I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense. It feels like an attempt to just try and make you feel, hey, look how sad this is, pretty much. Look at all these kids that are basically caught in a state of being in constant pain, but never able to die.
Yeah. Like, at least earlier on, when the doctor that fixed up Masaru first explained what Xenopha syndrome was, it kind of made it felt plausible.
Yeah,
because they're like, okay, because of this stress, your body's also freaking out.
Yeah, that makes sense. But with this, it just felt like kind of like a clumsy way. It would have made a degree of sense more if it had just been like, if he had, like, shown, like, these kids or whatever having, like, a violent, like, excruciatingly painful seizure. Like, it would have, like, in the third stage, like, that would make sense. It feels like it'd be better executed. It's just like, oh, they're unable to die now. Like, because we need to make you feel bad for these kids.
Yeah, it didn't really make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
What did make sense is that sweet-ass fight scene.
Okay, this fight scene was, I think, was the redeeming part of this episode, because we see Guy, like, the Automata and members of the Midnight Circus finally showing up at this hospital, and
we gotta see the Guy is a puppeteer too, because I guess, like, all Shirogane probably are.
Yeah, because we find out that Shirogane isn't a name, it's a title. Like, I don't know if that was established.
It's probably like a clan,
yeah.
Say.
But, and because they even say to Narumi, become a Shirogane yourself. But before he quote-unquote becomes a Shirogane, we get another kind of bullshit scene of, hey, let's hammer in this point that kids are dying, I'm sad, with Beth dying, which I don't understand why it was Beth. Wouldn't it have been more effective if it was Mark, the kid that introduced them in the first place and he spent the most time with? Or make it so that Beth was the one that he spent the most time with and was the one who introduced him to all this stuff? It just feels like really clumsy. Why did she die, or at the very least just fall unconscious in his arms? It's pretty heavily alluded to. She fucking died.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just... And I also like to point out, with all this crazy puppeteer stuff going on outside and their friends dying and stuff like that, these kids that are supposed to be, like, nervous wrecks around stuff like that, they're surprisingly calm and emotionless. Like, I guess you could say they're panicking, but you'd expect there to be, like, more seizure. Like, kind of more, like...
More attacks.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. But then...
Well, I think they're, like, trying to hide a lot of it from the kids. Well, I guess, yeah, they did notice because Beth had the one and really bad attack.
Yeah, and...
She was one of the lucky ones.
Yep. I don't know. But then Lucielle, or whatever her name is, the old witch lady, hands him a mask and says, when reality is too harsh to face, often we put on something to hide it. A mask will often hide a person's broken heart.
I really like that part.
He didn't wear the mask.
Yeah, that's true.
I thought that was super cool. Because A, the mask thing reminds me a lot of Persona, because that's kind of a big theme in Persona. Mm-hmm. Like, putting on a mask to face the harshness of the world. But then, the other thing is he's not wearing it. Probably to show the kids that, no, he's not afraid, and he's going to press onward in spite of the horrifying things. That's really cool.
Yeah, and the Sakuga in that fight scene, he just busts out and starts kicking all the puppets' asses.
Yeah, it was so good. I really liked it. I really liked some parts of this episode and some of the things about it, but Karakuri Circus overall was just, this episode felt really clunky and resulted in a lot of stupid ass pulls.
Yeah,
I like this series.
Yeah, like, I want to say that this show is definitely unique for me recently, because I've had lots of things to nitpick about it, but I'm still enjoying it
Mm-hmm.
the whole way. Like, I don't want to drop it. I want to see what's going to happen next week. Problems, withstanding.
Yep. But enough about Karakuri.
Next up is Run with the Wind.
Okay. The track meet episode, guys.
So, when Haiji pulled up in his van, it sounded like he was driving like 50, 60 miles an hour in a residential area.
Oh my god, right? There's just so much symbolism, like crows like panically fly away, a cat like nervously meows, and their dog just like kind of like hears something and whines, and then he almost runs them all over, like just.
Like, that's not legal, right?
No, it isn't. And then everybody is understandably panicked, except for Prince, who's just calmly reading his manga, which I think is actually an interesting thing they touch up on a little bit later. But the opening shot is just Kakeru on the day of the track, ultra visual storytelling, and just showing him just unsure of himself.
Well,
like kind of begrudgingly getting ready to go.
He's not unsure of himself, he's unsure of everyone else. Because, it gets a little bit more into it later. Kakeru's not worried about himself at all before this whole meet. He's so arrogant about how good he is. He's just worried that everyone else isn't going to make it.
I think there's a little bit more to that. I think there's more to what he's saying and what he's actually feeling. I think because this whole episode mainly focused on his rivalry with Fujioka, the guy who is supposed to be like the pinnacle of college running and stuff like that. Like, and him wanting to surpass him, and maybe him even realizing that he's not good enough. I think that there's more to it than he's letting on.
Later he realizes that.
Yeah.
But before the race starts, he just has this thing in his mind where, end of the last episode, he doesn't practice.
Mm-hmm.
And Haiji's like, reality's harsher than that.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. That actually is a really good point. I hadn't considered that. But anyway, so they go to the track meet. And we see like that Haiji was friends with Fujioka, this quote, like I said before, this pinnacle of college running, and like everybody, like even the people that were giving them a hard time, Sakaki, I believe, and were just like, they just kind of stepped aside and just stood in awe, like, wow, he's friends with him? Holy shit! And then...
Yeah, I'm assuming that, they were on a team together, probably in high school or something?
Yeah, something. And then we see, like, everybody just, like, getting ready for the meet. Like, everybody's just kind of doing their own thing. Like, Prince is reading manga, as he says, to lift his spirits.
Yeah.
Everybody's just kind of goofing off.
Yeah, but before the race, it's pretty obvious that nobody really seems to understand how serious track meets are. Because, Yuki was like, don't worry about it. You'll beat those guys. You can do it.
Yeah, Musa. Like, Musa does his best impression of Edvard Munch's The Scream. Like, because he, like, clutches his face and, like, all the creepy colors behind him.
Musa has such a obvious, like, inferiority complex whenever he sees someone else who's also black.
Yeah, exactly. Because, like, yeah, it's kind of hilarious, actually. Like, everybody's just kind of joking around, having a good time. Kakeru seems to be getting noticeably annoyed by all this.
Yeah, he's pissed off that nobody else is taking it seriously.
Yeah. And then everybody just finally gets ready to run the track meet. We find out that it's a 5,000 meter race, which is 12 meters around a track, and that's roughly 3 miles. God, yeah, I agree, right? And some people were able to complete 3 miles in 14 minutes.
I don't even think I could. I think it'd take me probably around like 10 minutes to do a mile. I think.
I don't know. Like, at least I'll take comfort in the fact that I'm not as bad as Prince, who took 30 minutes.
Oh yeah, he's like a zombie. It's not until the race actually starts that everyone actually realizes how serious it is, because, the mood changes from kind of jovial and cocky to, like, people are getting, like, shoved out of the way, and they're just realizing how serious everyone else is taking this.
Yeah, I agree, like, 100%. I also want to say that for this scene where it was, like, the action in the scene was kind of boring. Like, it's just a bunch of guys running around in circles. Like, but they made it feel real somehow.
Yeah, I love how the race is animated.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, I'm not saying it was bad. I'm just saying that from an objective standpoint, it's really not all that interesting. It's just like, it's dudes running in a circle. Apologies to people who like NASCAR. Seeing people drive around in circles is not really interesting. But here they were just able to make it feel real. And
yeah, they do a really good job showing how exhausting it is.
Yeah, how exhausting it is.
I was getting tired just watching it.
Like, just good lord. And, like, other people just going, oh, man, like, Kakuru's on a totally other level than us. And Kakeru thinking, like, oh, man, I'm going to get past this guy.
Yeah, so going back to what I was saying earlier about how he's arrogant.
Yeah.
He sees the guy who's in the lead. It's like Amas or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, he sees him in the lead, and he's just like, whatever, I'll just speed up.
Yeah, Manas, yeah.
Manas, yeah.
Because, and then, like, the second to last lap, which, again, somebody even acknowledges, like, Jesus, he's suicidal? That's a terrible idea. But then Manas starts even going faster, because he was keeping up his pace. But then Fujioka, out of nowhere, like, pulls up. And, like, passes all of them. And the whole time, like, it's just emphasizing, like, how big of a gap there is between Kakeru and Fujioka.
Yeah, like, in this didn't, like, it wasn't even a possibility in Kakeru's mind that he was going to lose this race.
Yeah.
Like, he just started, like, running up, getting really confident, and then, like, it looked like he was so bewildered that someone passed him.
Yeah.
I think it's probably, also could have something to do with who he's been running with for the past while,
and
also like
maybe,
his high school experience.
Yeah, we don't really know exactly what happened in his high school thing anyway. Like,
yeah, we only got to see like
a little bit,
not even like 30 seconds.
Yeah, like he was able to finish in third place, which again, and just over 14 minutes, that's still pretty damn impressive.
Yeah,
but that was devastating to him and it was even more devastating when later he sees Fujioka getting interviewed. And then Fujioka saying, I'm not going to be participating in some upcoming races. I'm only going to be focusing on intercollegiate races. And that, like, looks like it stung Kakeru.
Yeah, because it's like, well,
he's like,
you're not going to get a chance to get back at him.
Yeah, he's your true rival, and you're not even going to get a chance to go up against him again. That must have really hurt his confidence. And Fujioka says later, like, lead the team with Haiji. Which I think is an interesting dynamic because Haiji seems to not be necessarily taking it as seriously as probably he should, while Kakeru is taking things a little bit too seriously, or kind of flipping it a little bit. Kakeru is the one really not taking it seriously because he just is good already.
I think Haiji's doing a really good job keeping the team together.
Yeah.
I don't think he necessarily wants to, like, win anything. He just wants everyone to run in the Hakone Ekiden.
Exactly.
Because, like, in the beginning, before they race, he's like, I'm not expecting you guys to go out there, and beat everyone. I just want you guys to know what a race feels like.
Exactly.
And he says, just go out there and have fun.
Uh-huh. Absolutely. But then Kakeru, after the whole, like, losing the race and stuff like that, he's like, it doesn't matter how good my time is. Like, it doesn't matter how good my time is. How many times do I have to say it? I think there was, like I said, I think there was a little bit to it. Like, he was thinking to himself, I'm not good enough. Like, I'll never be that level.
Well, what he was specifically saying in that, what I think is, he was referring to, it doesn't matter how fast my team is, or my time is, if you guys also don't have a fast time. Because, like, it's a team thing. We're not going to make it if I'm the only fast one.
I don't know. I think that there is a little bit of, like, a self-doubt on Kakeru's part, too, though.
Oh, yeah, certainly now.
Yeah.
Like,
because I think he's officially realized how big a gap between, like, others and him really is. Which, dude, take it easy. You're only a freshman. For God's sake.
Like, in last episode, I talked about how even if... I guess that even if they lost, it wasn't going to affect them too hard. Mm-hmm. Which it didn't. Mm-hmm. Everyone except for Kakeru was like they had this attitude of like, well, that sucked, but oh well. Yeah. Like, we're still going to keep running is what it seemed like. Because the two twins, they're the one who they're like, why do you care? You made it. Mm-hmm. Like, and like everyone was just kind of Yeah. Nobody's devastated about it, I guess is what I'm trying to get at.
I mean, well, Prince is physically devastated, but that's only because he sucks at running.
Although they almost stopped him from running. And he's like, "Are you okay? You look dehydrated." He's like, "This is how I always run."
And I love how even more, it's like, someone's pulling out on the outside. It's like, oh wait, there's somebody else there. Wait, no, he's getting lapped.
I really want to see Prince learn how to run.
Yeah.
I just want to see him run like a normal person.
Like, actually get his running form. Like, nobody's bothered to teach him. But, anyway. So, enough about Run with the Wind. Let's get on to SSSS.Gridman. Oh, man. I love how not seriously Rika and Utsumi are... How not seriously they're taking his story, because the whole time he's saying, oh yeah, this happened last episode. Like, I found out that Akane's a god, and she's using kaiju to destroy and rebuild the city. They're just not even taking him seriously, because the whole time they're just looking at their phones.
So, on the contrast to that, I think that, not only are they not taking it, I don't know if contrast is the right word, but not only are they not taking it seriously, I think they both don't want to believe it.
Yeah.
Because they have different reasons for it. Akane's trying to rebuild her Rika's trying to rebuild her friendship with Akane.
Yeah.
Sho has a crush on Akane.
Mm-hmm.
And both of them, they don't want to believe that Akane's the villain.
Yeah.
It's just...
Yeah.
Like, if you really like someone, or you want to be friends with them, you don't want to think that they're a bad person.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I get that, but at the same time, I just love how not seriously they're taking it. How it's just displayed. It's like, yeah, we're just looking at our phones, so, whatever. It's such a teenage thing to do.
Yeah.
I also like how Utsumi just kind of throws Yuta under the bus, because it's like, girls don't like kaiju. Yeah, girls don't like kaiju. Right? And then...
Well, yeah, that was, I think it was the same scene. It was like...
Yeah, it was.
And that just kind of goes to show, to me anyways, Sho...
He liked that little moment with Akane.
Yeah, and he's thinking, that kind of makes sense that she likes kaiju, but I'm not going to bring it up because I don't want to believe that she's a bad guy.
Exactly. And then Auntie... we find out, again, just how persistent Auntie is and how one-dimensional he is. He just shows up at the school and starts chasing down Yuta, and then the bastard takes his sandwiches.
Yeah, it fucking runs off with him.
And then even Yuta's kind of confused, just, what is he all about?
It was interesting learning a little bit more about, his restrictions.
Mm-hmm.
Auntie can't voluntarily turn into a kaiju unless Gridman's there.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And Gridman can't show up unless there's already a kaiju there, so... Auntie has to have another kaiju show up before he can show up.
Yeah. I like how when Akane is just, kind of questioning, what are you still doing here? Like she knocks, this special dog out of his hand and then just carelessly steps on it. This is important later. Trust me. And then they go back to the computer store and start talking with Gridman about the new developments from, last episode. And, a couple of them, I think Max is the one corroborating Yuta's story. Yeah, I saw her too.
Yeah. Little side there. I really think that Boar, the blonde guy, I think he has a crush on Sho. Because he exclusively beats Sho up. He kicks him, and only him, all the time.
Yeah, and kicks him in the ass.
Yeah.
Ow, my ass!
He has a little crush on him.
Yeah, probably. And... it kind of makes me wonder what the hell, when they say that Gridman is far from complete, it makes me wonder what the hell happened exactly. What made him have to go into junk in the first place, the computer?
Yeah, and they don't really explain that at all.
Yeah, they haven't so far, but we'll find out. And
I liked how lazy Caliber was. They're hey, Caliber, what's your input? And he's just
I don't have it. I don't think anything.
Just fucking laying there on the desk.
I love it. Yeah, just everybody from the Neon Genesis Junior High is entertaining to watch for different reasons, because the blue-haired one, the quote-unquote handsome one, is a fucking dumbass.
He's a space cadet.
Yeah. So, Yuta goes home, which we still don't have any confirmation on his parents, which, again, it's anime, so whatever.
Yeah, they're contextual.
But Akane broke into his place. How? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe his parents let him in, let her in.
And I also love how unsubtle Akane's crush and attempted seduction on him is.
Oh man, the way that Akane asked Yuta to, like, she was like, join me, and just her voice, that gave me chills.
Yeah.
Like, because it was like a mix of, like, come hither, but also, like, really creepy.
Yeah. Like, exactly, because she was, like, again, she was saying stuff that basically was trying to say, hey, I want you to join me, but hey, I also want you to screw me. Yeah. Sort of deal. Yeah.
And then it really shows how much of a sociopath she is when she's like, join me and we can do fun things like kill everyone.
Pretty much.
Or we can do whatever we want. And then Yuta is like, no, I don't want to do that. And she's like, what? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. So it's interesting when after she goes on that little monologue, and then Yuta looks off to the side, sees a bead. I don't know why that's important, but then looks back to her and says, I won't join you. Basically what that tells me is, I can't join you because a bead said I shouldn't. I don't know. And this kind of introduces like a weird, like, sort of like love triangle. Like, so Yuta likes Rika, Akane likes Yuta, and Utsumi likes Akane.
That's not a triangle.
I don't know, okay?
That's like a line? Well, no, it's like love Z.
It's bizarre. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know. I say love triangle because it's the most familiar. It's the most familiar term. I knew it's not a triangle.
I get you. So the whole walk. So when Akane's like, walk me home.
Yeah, just walk me home because she gets kind of pissed and just is like, hey, walk me home.
That whole walk was really weirdly calm.
Yeah,
because especially considering how they were talking about like, yeah, I kill people. Like, oh, really? How do you do it? And they're like, oh, I do this and this.
Yeah, just and then
it was just like, so
how
weird.
do you make kaiju? Wouldn't you like to know? Calls up the person that helps her make kaiju.
Yeah, Alexis just they go to like a Chinese place and Alexis just casually walks in.
Yeah,
which I'm assuming that no one else can see him.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of. Like, nobody else except for people that are involved with Gridman or Alexis will know.
She said it's on, like, dinner's on him.
Yeah.
How's he gonna pay?
I don't know. But he acknowledges the shopkeep and stuff, so...
Yeah, but the shopkeep never acknowledges him back.
Exactly. So I think Alexis is just being kind of... I don't know. I really don't know what Alexis...
He's very polite.
He is. He's a very polite person. He's a polite, psychopathic alien whose goal is yet undetermined.
Yeah.
And then... I like the little thing when Rika is, like, thinking about, like, about Akane, like the possibility that she might be a monster, and then her friends call her up. It's like, hey, can we copy your homework? It's like, yeah, sure. You're a god in the guise of a high schooler. Like, yeah, really subtle.
Dun, dun, dun.
And I want to point out that this was the Chinese restaurant that that girl had died at.
Yeah, girl who destroyed sandwich.
Yeah. Again, I want to point out that was the reason. Remember how I said her smushing anti-sandwich just so carelessly was important? Well, here it is, because it shows that what a fucking hypocrite Akane is. Because Akane destroyed anti-sandwich, like, didn't care, but somebody destroyed the sandwich that she was trying to give Yuta. Oh, so whatever.
She's a high school girl. She's complicated.
No, she
has complicated emotions, and also she's a sociopath.
Yeah, exactly. But
and then we got to the battle.
The
weekly monster.
Yeah, which it's anti-controlling kaiju this time around, because Akane is fucking bewildered at the fact that a kaiju is showing up without something that she was planning on doing.
Yeah.
Alexis apparently has the power to give other people the ability to create kaiju.
Well, yeah, and like the only thing we know about Alexis is that he wants kaiju to do shit.
Yeah.
And like if Akane wasn't going to do it, then he probably decided to go to someone else.
Yeah. And everybody realizes this kaiju's there. They get ready to fight it again, but it's just floating, and the kaiju's just floating. They're not really doing anything, and Gridman blasts it, but then it starts fighting back after that.
Just grid beam!
Yeah, grid beam. And they realize, oh crap, the thing is probably just part of the actual body. Vitzer, go up there.
Or they're like, send in the flyer. Yeah, we'll probably send in that guy. Like, yeah, and it's just like, awkward 10-second
Yeah,
pause.
just, wait, who, me? It says, Vitter, get in there, you dumbass!
And then we get as always, a sweet-ass combination scene.
Yeah, exactly. They're gonna combine, and they're all flying around, they find the real body, like, Auntie is like, flying on the other kaiju, and then he turns into his kaiju form, starts flying after Gridman, and, like, they do, like, the typical Trigger thing, where they're, like, flying around all epically, and explosions are falling behind them. It's so cool.
I want to know more about what that Sky City was.
Yeah, the Sky City.
Because, like, they go up there, and they're like, huh, that's a thing.
Yeah.
But they're kind of too busy fighting to really...
But it apparently, it somehow also confirms what Yuta was saying, though. Like,
oh, yeah, like how, like, everything outside the city doesn't exist.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a weird ceiling.
Yeah, Kane and Sho were like, maybe he wasn't being
Rika?
dumb. Yeah, I keep getting Akane and Rika confused.
How? Rika's best girl, Kane's shittiest girl.
I don't know, man.
And then one of the funniest things though is that Gridman discombines from Vitter.
Does discombine a word?
Or uncombine?
Separate,
probably better. Separates from Vitter.
Well, it's fine. What did I say earlier? Like,
I don't know.
I don't remember.
But you said something stupid, so let's...
Yeah, welcome to my life every day.
So, what happens then is that Vitter separates and then attacks Auntie, I think?
Yeah, because Auntie is, like, sneaking up on him, and then he's just like, boom!
Yeah,
no, bitch!
Yeah, and then Gridman pulls out his grid saber and then slashes the other one.
Yeah.
And then...
Pulls a Pacific Rim.
Yeah, and then... And then you see him falling, and you think that... I was thinking that they were going to, like, recombine.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought, too.
And then... But nope, he just lands on top of the plane and starts riding it like an hoverboard.
Surfing him.
Oh my god, it was so funny. At the end of the episode is Akane saying, hey, punish Auntie, which, oh boy, does he.
Yeah, I think Alexis, like, sliced out one of Auntie's eyes.
Yeah, that's what it looked like.
Yeah, and then, like, Auntie, like, ran off like an injured cat.
Yeah, what the injured cat he is.
I mean, it goes to serve towards my theory of I feel like Auntie's going to be an ally eventually.
Eventually. We'll find out.
Well, I mean, there's not much... Was it 12 episodes?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not much time left.
Uh-huh. Next up is Sword Art Online Alicization. So
I was immediately excited when they're like, oh yeah, we're back in Wrath again. Oh, I can't wait to see what happens. And they're like, well, it's been 2 years since we've been back in Wrath.
It's like, wait, what? Let's fast forward through a bunch of potentially awesome stuff, like working on a farm while honing their swordsman skills, fighting and winning in a sword fighting tournament.
Yeah, that's the main thing I was a little annoyed about. Like, oh yeah, we entered this sword fighting tournament. And
remember?
It was awesome. It was really awesome, guys.
And then getting scouted by a garrison and joining a swordcraft academy. Hey, you know all that really cool stuff that happened? Let's show none of that. And also, let's acknowledge the fact that we've awkwardly been here at Sword Academy for a year. Just, oh god.
Yeah. So when you're doing a time skip, at least something that's that big, you have to give some time to settle into the new time you're at.
Yeah.
Like, if you just jump into it and jump to the next plot, and you're throwing in characters, they're like, oh, trust me. These are important characters. Yeah. You're going to have to trust me. It's like, I don't care about any of these people yet.
They introduce a character who we have no context for and no reason to give a rat's ass about.
My first assumption is like, oh, is that another girl to ride Kirito's dick? Because it looks like another girl to ride Kirito's dick. I mean, like, later on, they show that's not
entirely the case, but... I don't know.
That was my first assumption.
It's another attempt at it's not riding Kirito's dick, but it is definitely showing how awesome Kirito is, because I'll get to that later, but it's revealed that this mentor of his, Lina, is actually the second seat, and next to other characters we have no context for and have no reason to understand why they're so powerful or anything. Mm-hmm. Just, god damn it, I don't care. It's like we have no context for them. Why are they strong, and why we should care? That's a really big part of getting your audience invested in a show like this.
Yep.
And then and if you didn't think that was bad enough, let's have another goddamn info dump about the fucking mechanics of this world, rather than showing them organically.
It wasn't that long of an info dump.
It wasn't long, but it was still annoying because, again, this is storytelling 101. Show, don't tell. Yeah. But the biggest bullshit in that situation, it's like, okay, we already kind of knew about like the system control and the item control thing. Like, okay, item control allows you to actually like swing swords around. System control is all about sacred arts. We kind of knew all that already, so it was kind of redundant information. But the third one is quite possibly the most bullshit thing of all. If you believe, basically it translates to, if you believe hard enough in something, you can rewrite the laws of nature. Fuck that.
I like it.
I think it's stupid.
I unironically think it's a cool system in the game. So, you go... I mean, you could call this part kind of like a MacGuffin, but... Yeah. Or not MacGuffin, but they're kind of good. Like, go back to where Kirito... Where Kaiba stabbed him. Yeah. And then Kirito, like, glowed and stabbed him back. Like, I'm assuming that's probably what this is referring to.
Probably, but
because like it's like a VR thing of if your will is imposed enough, or if you're confident enough in something in specifically in like a game that's or a program that's based off the seed or whatever, then you kind of just make it happen.
I don't know. I still think the power of belief is kind of bullshit. It's just like, hey, we'll break the rules just because we can. Like, if you have the ego to do something, you can blah, blah. I did not like it. Like, I really didn't like it at all.
You like Gurren Lagann?
Gurren Lagann didn't take itself seriously.
No, it took itself entirely seriously, and that's why really cool is a thing.
Yeah, this just felt... I don't know. Yeah, I was more invested.
It wasn't nearly as good, but it's kind of like the same idea.
The thing is, I'm invested. I'm actually invested in Gurren Lagann. I'm not invested here, which is why it just this bothers me, I guess. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, I get you. I get you.
Yeah, right. But the other thing is, we kind of go into like revealing more about Lina and Kirito's relationship after that. Which again, this would have been great if it were spaced over the course of a few episodes, like we'd seen like. Oh, I noticed that you had a similar sword style to me, and I decided to take you under my wing because I noticed this.
Yeah, more telling.
Yeah, but no, it's just like, oh man, all this stuff that we'd probably already know if we spent a year training together. But I don't know, it's fucking stupid. And you've been hiding some power from me. Not once have I been able to beat him. Like, here's my translation. You, Kirito, are really awesome despite me being way more trained. And despite me being way more trained than you and way more experienced than you, you could beat me if you ever let loose. It's fucking stupid.
Yeah. And then we get the totally not bad guy seniors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally.
When they're eating dinner.
Like, hooray, generic bullies that are likely not, or probably never going to be that important, but whatever. And then... they acknowledge that it's weird to give flowers as a graduation gift. I'm thinking to myself, is it really? Like, I don't know. I thought that was pretty common. Like, hey,
maybe it's like specifically growing flowers to then give to somebody.
I mean, maybe, I guess, but still, it's like, are flowers really that uncommon of a gift to give at somebody's graduation? I thought it was pretty normal. I don't know.
Different society,
I guess. But
yeah, don't you know? Weren't you there for 2 years? You should know the society.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And then Yu-Gi-Oh starts going into like this like inferiority complex stuff of in my quest to find Alice, who was taken by the Axiom Church. Yes, we already knew that point. No need to tell her that again. When you said you weren't going home, you got your memories back. It filled me with such relief. Yes. Thank you for reminding me what an awesome person I am and refreshing me on the thing I said like 40 seconds ago.
So, along the lines of Kirito and Yu-Gi-Oh's interactions, I think it's... think of how to say this. The writer did a really good job of making them a pair, because I feel like whenever Kirito is interacting with Yu-Gi-Oh, Kirito feels like more of an actual character. He has more dimensions to him when he's interacting with Yu-Gi-Oh! Instead of just like, I'm the guy who will do the good thing. He's kind of like supporting Yu-Gi-Oh! And Yu-Gi-Oh! Supporting him.
But it would have been nice to see more of it would have been nice to see more of the relationship, because we see a little bit more like hand wavy. It's like, oh, it's like, well, you've been supporting me too. My memory's unreliable and stuff like that. But we've never had any actual context to see how Yu-Gi-Oh's really been supporting him. So it's a little bit...
Well, no, like, the supporting I'm talking about is how, like, Kirito's... He even says, like, I wouldn't even have made it to this place if you didn't, like, if you weren't here to guide me through all this stuff. So, it's kind of more of, like, it's more of a symbiotic relationship than Kirito has ever had with any of his other friends.
I will admit, it's certainly an improvement, but I would definitely say he's definitely more the one that's driving everything, and it's a little, and we don't really get to see like how they complement each other as much. It's certainly a step in the right direction, but it definitely...
Yeah, we didn't get to see... It was a 2-year time skip. Didn't get to see anything.
Yeah, we didn't get to see anything, how they kind of grew together and stuff like that. It would have been great to see all that, and this would have had a lot more weight to it if they had actually revealed it, but they didn't. Also, they have a really boring way of announcing the stakes. It's just like, oh, we have to score the top 12 in the entrance exams, right? It's like, yeah, thanks. Like, because in order to actually get to become members of the garrison or whatever, they have to actually, it's just, it's dumb. I didn't like this episode, guys. Is that not obvious?
I like Kirito's new sword.
Yeah, Kirito's new sword is great.
It's cool looking.
Basically, I like how it's kind of awkward to reveal, like, though, that it's like, hey, here's a branch, hand it to this swordsman in this particular city, and we'll make a sword.
I guess they handed it to him 2 years ago.
Yeah, before he left Ruled. Again, a little awkward.
Yeah.
Like, it would, like, I
They're
get it.
They're rushing in all these plot points.
Just like, oh yeah, info dump. But I love how the swordsmith was all like, hey, these grindstones, I went through 6 of them. They're supposed to last 3 years. I broke a lot of them in freaking 1. I broke 6 of them in 1. That's like 1 every 2 months. It's like, yeah, that's great and all. How's my sword, by the way?
That's like stupid shit. Where's my sword?
Yeah, it's like, oh man. And this is the dumbest thing, I think, and like one of the dumbest business decisions ever. You know this sword that took me a lot of time and probably a lot of resources to make? I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you if you can just swing the damn thing.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
I mean, I don't know. You could argue that he just really enjoyed working. I mean, okay. I might be, trying to defend sword art a little bit
maybe
here now and then, but I mean, you could argue that like it was just an experience like that he'd never get, in a lifetime to work on something like that.
I guess, but we don't.
But they definitely didn't show it.
Like, we don't.
We
don't have any. Yeah, we don't have any. Again, we don't have any context for this character. We don't know the context of the struggles he's been going through. He's just a convenient plot device.
Exactly.
He's just kind of, oh, hey, you have a new sword now, just to show how awesome you are. Let's show you training with it and actually stop the fucking presses, fuck up on something. And, God. Also, so he gets roped into a duel with the first seat, again, who we have no context for, except for a little bit of hand-wavy stuff at the beginning of the episode. Mm-hmm. He got mad at him because he got mud on his jacket. Like, here's my stance. Like, all right, you want to duel with your rival's pupil? Fine, that's great. Wouldn't it have been a much better reason, like a much more, like, a better reason just to have them duel? Because, he mentioned something like, I see a lot of myself in you. I want to see your drive.
He had like a moment of actual interest, and then it just evolved into,
oh, you got mud on my shirt. Yeah. Like,
I can't forgive you for this.
Or even just, hey, you're my rival's pupil. I want to see why she chose you. Like, I want to see that. Because it would have been a much more interesting reason for a fight than just, oh, you got mud on my shirt. I have to punish you for this slight. Oh, by the way, here's the thing. He says, since I didn't think it warranted too big a punishment, I just decided to spar with real swords. What is a big punishment to you if you're fighting with real swords?
That's fine if you lose an arm. Don't worry about it.
Also, I also don't do stop stop short fights. Okay, just showing even more how of an asshole you are. And then Kirito's never fought a match with real swords. Didn't he win a goddamn sword fighting contest?
They were in a tournament? Or
Yeah.
maybe they used fake swords, I don't know.
They look like real swords to me because the metal broke. But,
Oh yeah, like he cut he cut the guy's sword.
oh my god. It's just... He's never fought a real match against you? I don't know. It's just... It's this... Some of this stuff is just so fucking stupid.
Yeah, I just want to see the fight. Because, I'm pretty disappointed with the pacing in this recent episode, but, just... Come on, just get back to the sword art stuff.
I actually want Kirito to lose. I hope that they pull...
He's not gonna lose.
He's not going to.
He's not gonna lose.
He's not gonna lose. I know he's not going to, but...
If he loses, I will be very surprised.
I will be too, because here's the thing. I think that... I really want them to pull, what they did with ReZero, where Subaru gets the shit kicked out of him. And that actually kind of takes him down a peg.
You want to see Kirito throw a fit? I'm the Black Swordsman! I want to win!
Pretty much. I'd like to see that. But
it's not going to happen.
It isn't, because Kirito's awesome and always will be awesome. Will never suffer any consequences for that.
And we have to sell the merch!
Ah! Alright, but I could bitch about this show for a while, but let's continue on with our next show, okay?
Yeah,
I can only handle so much stupidity.
Thunderbolt Fantasy Season 2.
Alright.
So, the strongest... After watching this episode, I realized the strongest point in this series is the exchanges between characters.
The dialogue in this show is fan-fucking-tastic.
Yeah.
The conversation in the beginning between the monk and the Princess of Cruelty, just about what loyalty truly means,
yeah, that was
is so fascinating.
Yeah, that was some really actually fascinating philosophy.
Yeah, it really is. Just the idea that you can find happiness. In order to find true loyalty, you just have to live in complete service to your master. If a servant if a servant is doing it for their own reasons, it's no different than seeking a reward for their devotion. It's
Jie Yingluo.
Yeah.
She really actually took that to heart.
Yeah, it kind of broke her. It's interesting to think that, because later in the episode, I think that little exchange is what really pushed her over the edge.
Well, that little exchange is the reason she actually ran away.
Yeah.
Later on, when she's actually running away, she actually gives a little inner monologue about how if I would have stayed here and got more swords, then my master would have been more pleased. But it's actually it's a better idea, and it's better for him if I just go back and give him this one sword. Yeah, and to be execute here than die here without even fulfilling my master's wishes. So she's putting aside personal glory specifically for loyalty. Yeah, which is interesting. And then I love another interaction between two schemers. You see Zio and the enigmatic Gale basically having who can be the biggest asshole contest. Yeah. They're every time they talk, it's like they're playing chess. I know it, because Zhao Guangwan, the hunting fox, he knows at this point that he's the enigmatic Gale. Yeah, but it's a legal kind of bouncing beam where he can't go out of his way to say it, but he's trying to get him to say it. Yeah, just it's very much the rivalry and between Light and L from Death Note. It's like a cat and mouse game, but you're not quite sure who's the cat and who's the mouse. It constantly shifts every time. It's so cool. The enigmatic Gale deflects it by putting out I would thank you not to bring up such stupid stuff, trivial matters. Clearly, I know you wouldn't take it seriously as someone in your position, but if you were to, then it would be incredibly stupid and it would offend me a lot. Yeah, and then also trying to say that it's I think the idea of some elusive master thief is more just created as a scapegoat by incompetent lawmen. Which in turn creates a scapegoat for him. Yeah, again, watching him scheme and watching him plot and basically just seeing these two schemers going back and forth is so fascinating. Mm-hmm. And then later, Shang has a conversation with him, realizing, I wouldn't care what happens to him, but at the same time, I'm not going to get involved in your scheme. That's that actually surprised me a little bit. Like, I kind of expected Shang just kind of, like, just throw the guy under the bus or something.
But no, I mean, Shang doesn't... The thing about Shang is his philosophy has always been, don't do things that are unnecessary. Like, he feels that things will kind of resolve themselves, and if he does need to get involved, then he will. But for this point, it was just a matter of, he would deserve completely what he gets. I'm just not... He can dig his own grave, but I'm not going to be the one to kick it into it.
I love the line of, I don't want a later meal to be spoiled by me feeling guilty about it.
Oh, yeah. Which is kind of selfish, but again, it makes a degree of sense.
Yeah, it fits his personality, that's for sure.
Yep. I love how he, in that conversation as well, how just much he is, like, afraid of the 7 blasphemous deaths, that other sword that she's hiding. Because the way he describes it is it's not so much a sword, because the enigmatic Gale is just dismissing it. It's like, oh, swords are just tools to be used. That thing is not a tool. That thing isn't even a sword. It's more like a beast.
Yeah, it's like a separate being.
It's something that exists on a completely different level. Basically, the way he describes it, it's more like a beast. One that you would be careful to approach when it was caged.
Which we saw that.
Oh my god.
In a very dark and gruesome scene.
Yeah.
Of, because the hunting fox, like, hunts the Princess Cruelty down and, like, starts having his men, like, slash at her.
Yeah, just, like, kind of, like, kill her slowly.
Mm-hmm.
Because his philosophy, as it turns out with criminals, is, as an officer of the law, I stand as its guardian. Which means that when it comes to criminals, I'm free to treat them as cruelly and brutally as I like. It's like a sick game to him. And I love how the 7 blasphemous death just keeps, like, nailing into her conscience, just like
attacking her weakest spots.
Yeah, just like, and she knows that she's getting manipulated is the thing. Like, it's like you've made up many other swordsmen go, like, deceive them in this exact same way. But it just keeps boring into her head. Just like, are you sure you really want to die here like this? And it's interesting to think that she literally trades one master for another, like here. Because as soon as she drew that sword, she surrendered every tie to her old master, and she now has a new one.
She, like, immediately got high on the power.
Yeah. Now, it's like, all it requires is a taste, and now you'll never think of defying me ever again.
Yeah, it was so, like, even though they're just puppets...
She's, like, slicing arms off and slicing off, like,
they do
in
such
half.
a good job making it look, like, brutal. And just, like, the voice acting there and the music, just, like, it made the scene so dark.
Yeah, and then, oh god, it's just so... It was so chilling. And then all it takes is even just a look. If they look at the sword, they immediately become enamored with it.
Which Sean knows, because when he shows up, he's, like, always covering his eyes.
Like, don't look at it!
Although eventually, when it hits the cliffhanger of the episode, it's that Princess of Cruelty, like, pretty much holding the sword up to his face.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's going to work out next episode.
Yep, absolutely. Now, last but not least, Zombieland Saga.
Oh my god, my favorite moment of the week.
Oh my god, it was so good.
Yeah. But before we get there, I love how in the beginning, Saki's like, well, what do you think? Asking everybody. She asks Tai, like, oh, Tai, what do you think? And Tai responds like, yeah.
And you hear, like, she treats it like an actual answer.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it was so funny. Like, this comedy, and then of course, Sakura, being the naive little bean she is, tries to say, well, Kotaro might be able to help us. Figure it out yourself, you damn zombie!
Yeah.
Told you.
You see, what was her name again? The girl who has the mushrooms on her head?
Junko,
yeah.
She's behind a zombie barricade.
Yeah. we got a really surprisingly, like,
meaningful
nice
conversation. Yeah, because
Kotaro.
Because he was and we actually realized that he can be a good person at times, because he watched over her for hours, after inadvertently knocking her unconscious, but
he's like Kicky ho or something like that, and kick the door down.
Kicky blammo!
Kicky blammo, yeah.
Yeah. So he's just talking about, like with Junko, it's like, so many things about idols have changed over the years, but the core of being an idol is universally the same. Mm-hmm. And with that, I love how, in spite of them being a group, he is trying so hard to just make Junko realize, no, you don't have to be, like, completely member of the group. You can still be yourself. The way he describes it is, you're not zombies. I mean, you're not robots. You're zombies. So, clearly he has a little bit of interest, like, for their well-being and doesn't necessarily want them to just be his tools.
Yeah, he told her that idols have changed, but you don't have to.
Yeah.
And that, and then he tells her about, how I died.
Yeah.
And he's like, you need to support her.
Yep.
Think about how, when you go out there and go back to everyone, think about how you can repay them for them helping you.
Yeah, exactly. And that was a big part of this episode. Like, we kept seeing, like, every time there's lightning, we see her body kind of twitch. We see, like, Ai's body twitching a little bit. Mm-hmm. And then when lightning actually strikes, she's just, like, immediately just, like, cowers.
Balls up, yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. At the end of the speech, sprinkles on that little Kotaro charm. He's just like, when you're ready, look in that box. And then when he leaves, he's like, and also fix the door. And lo and behold, she fixed the door.
Which is hilarious, because when we watched it, you thought inside the box was the fucking drill.
Yeah, she had like a box next to her, and she was fixing the door, and I thought, like, oh, really?
Oh my god, it was funny.
Yeah, and then they got the idol outfits from the opening.
Yep, we finally get to see them in their idol outfits, but I think what was also really cool, it was a nice little touch, is that the whole time there were, like, the group is worrying about if Junko's going to come back, and Ai is, like, practicing, like, ridiculously hard, trying to move past it. She's working so hard, she literally falls apart.
Yeah.
Like, literally. I love the kind of, like, nice parallels they give. Like, when idols, like, everybody says, oh, when people work so hard, like, I feel like I'm falling apart.
Yeah.
Here they literally fall apart. It's nice little jokes like that, and nice little parallels.
It makes it a unique idol show.
Exactly.
Which is the problem I had with, like, episode 3 and 4. It was
exactly.
It was a generic idol show.
And
like, the whole, going back to the whole speech with Kotaro, and he's talking about how, like, they're idols, but they're also zombies.
Mm-hmm.
But he says it in, like, a serious, meaningful way.
Yeah.
It was a really cool connection.
Yep. And then, when Junko finally decides, I'm gonna join you guys, Kotaro runs her over.
She's just like, I'm ready to join you guys. I'm gonna smashes into her. Which, okay, I think, in the last episode I thought, like, oh yeah, I wanted him to be the one that ended up killing everybody. Like, I don't think that actually happened. But after seeing him run over Junko,
in the exact same animation.
Yeah, I really think that he ran over Sakura. And
I'm pretty sure that was his van. Now that I think about it, I'm sure
it was a truck.
No, was it?
Yeah, it was like a pickup truck.
Maybe.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure he ran over Sakura. Sakura doesn't have anything special, so that's why he let Sakura join, because he killed her.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense.
Because if he's, like, absent-minded enough to run over a girl once, I feel like he could do it twice.
Yeah, probably.
It's not like she was there, like, all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Like, she was out in the road talking for, like, 5 seconds.
Yeah, right? I mean, unlike Sakura, who literally appeared out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And then we get another good, like, little bit where they're finally at the show, getting ready to go on, and Kotaro's like, alright, you guys, let me get a good look at you guys. And Sakura's, like, all smiling and happy. And then he just starts spraying them with
fucking waterproof spray.
Like, these are for shoes, asshole. Yeah. Which, again, he knew that it was going to be raining and their makeup would run, so I guess good on him for planning.
Yeah, good idea.
It was actually interesting to see, like, Ai watching Iron Frill, like, the group she was a part of, perform in front of her. It must have been hard to watch. It's like, because, I used to be up there. That used to be me.
Yeah, it's compounding on her already, like, negative mood.
Yeah.
I thought it was adorable how Saki's like, and Tai's like, just copying her.
Yeah, there's actually an interesting little bit, because they point out that, yeah, Tai is imitating Saki. I look back at it later, and, like, even when it cut to a scene with them all sleeping, Tai was sleeping in the exact same position that Saki was. Like, her, like...
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, she's just like... Yeah, it was funny. And then there was another little cute joke where we see, like, Lily's heart literally beating out of its chest.
Yeah, I was really confused during the first, like, couple episodes. I was like, is that, like, a part of her outfit? Like, no, it's just her heart.
Yeah, her, like, and again, because she's completely nervous, this is, like, their first big audience, her heart would like, again, her heart's beating out of her chest. That's a common saying, but her heart is literally beating out of her chest here.
And I said it before and I'll say it again, just the animation, like the goofy, kind of over the top, almost like Western influenced animation of the show is so good.
Yeah, I like how when we actually see Iron Throw perform, it was actually a pretty well animated performance. Like, I really liked it. Mm-hmm. And it gave me a little bit of insight into the we complained about the bad CG in this show before, and I was hoping it's like, okay, maybe this episode we won't see it, and we, of course, as soon as they start performing, they did. But then the audience said something like, they seem really tense up there. Is it supposed to look like that? Give me a break. This is hard to watch. To me, that's just like, that's audience reactions anytime we actually see the CG in this show. It feels like that's us. That's us complaining about the CG.
That's how I felt when I first saw it. And but once I kind of just was really stiff and not seeing with confidence at all. And then Junko, kneels down and is like, I got you covered.
Yeah.
And then the performance kicks up, and at that point, going on for the rest of the episode, I stopped caring about the CG. Because the performance just was really, really good.
And it had, like you said, because as soon as they finished their first song, bang! Lightning strikes the stage. God.
It was so good! And it was so stupid! And fucking Kotaro hyped it up even more, because they're like, oh my god, are they okay? And Kotaro just fucking grabs the headset and it's like, music start!
And they're all glowing, and they got and their voices are all auto-tuned.
Yeah.
And it's a remix of their Awaken Returner song, which has actually grown on me quite a bit.
It was a really good performance.
And I started fucking losing it when they pointed and just
yeah, they just fucking perfectly synchronize a laser light show.
Oh man,
I was talking about this with you earlier, but it's a perfect example of how to do Rule of Cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, all of the characters are taking it entirely seriously. They're not making a joke out of it.
Yeah,
it's because when you want something that doesn't make sense to be good, you have to take it entirely seriously. You have to play it off like this is we're doing this and it's awesome. Because if the characters don't believe it's awesome, how the hell am I supposed to believe that it's awesome?
Because that's the thing. It all just goes back to suspension of disbelief. If the characters are invested and the audience is truly invested, then they're going to forgive a lot of problems. Mm-hmm. But how ridiculous this situation is. Yeah. But it just feels so because we've gotten used to these characters and this show in general, we're just kind of accepting of it at this point.
Yeah, it's it was stupid and it made no sense, and I loved every minute of it.
Yep. And it ends with a little newspaper clipping of the guy who I thought was going to be investigating them, with just a little article that says, "Angels descend on Saga Rock." Which, hilarious because they're actually dead. But
they're undead.
But whatever. Alright. That's going to be it for the seasonal weekly stuff. So you've already said your favorite moment of the week.
Yep. Favorite episode, favorite show this week was definitely Zombieland Saga. That just knocked me off my feet.
I have a really hard time determining what my absolute favorite episode. If I had to pick one, I would probably say it was Goblin Slayer for me. I loved Banana Fish's drama. I loved Golden Kamuy. I love Golden Kamuy's storytelling. But Goblin Slayer with the freaking action and just feeling that tension of oh my god, everything's going wrong here. It felt like I was on the edge of my seat. When it just seeing everything finally, or for the most part, work out, I actually really enjoyed it. It was a nice reminder that this world is cruel and unforgiving. And sometimes even people who are prepared for situations, bad things can still happen.
Yes. There was a little bit of speed bumps this week with with Sword Art and
Karakuri.
But pretty goddamn solid week overall.
Yeah, I agree. Really solid week. But that's going to be it for this week of Timesink Anime Podcast. Thank you guys for sticking around. Like and subscribe if you enjoy our videos. And until next time, take care of yourselves.
Bye.